Hello and welcome to Be Kind Rewinder. Rewinder is an independent publication here to talk about the games that we care about in a thoughtful way. I'm your host and deputy editor Lex Luddy, joined this week by managing editor Scott McRae, EIC Henry Stockdale, and special guest Mik Deitz. How's everyone doing? Henry, you're back for the first time 2 weeks in a row since we have started this podcast. We are on episode 7.
It's a Christmas miracle, Lex. What can I say? It's good to be here.
Yeah, Miracle on 48th Street was actually just about you being on this podcast.
Fucking cancel this show.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel right. Doesn't feel right.
Is that different from the Christmas movie? That's Miracle on 42nd Street, correct? What's 48th? I was like, what's 48th Street? What's the
I'm not a
there?
fucking American. I'm
That
like...
sounded...
that's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
That sounded right to me. I'm going to be honest.
Mik, how you doing? You're
34th. Sorry.
Yeah, you've guested on the other podcast that I help run, the Start Menu podcast. But I wanted to get you on here because it had been too long since we hung out and talked. How you doing?
I am doing pretty well. It's been really a battle between me and trying to convince myself to play Donkey Kong. I don't know if anybody else has experienced this very specific niche thing. Me and David Shimomura of Unwinnable have talked about this a little bit, of like motion sickness in video games, and for some reason the smoothness of Donkey Kong Bonanza in handheld specifically does not agree with me. It runs too well. I'm starting to become a Luddite in that I think games should be capped at 30 FPS.
I'm in the opposite way, because
you're like those people that went to go see Gemini Man at 120 frames per second and came out feeling ill. Just being like, oh,
dude,
no.
I saw that was me during Avatar 2. I was literally getting sick because it kept going between like 24 FPS and 120, and James Cameron had no fucking consistency.
That happened to me in the opposite way, because I started Expedition 33, and obviously because I'm not a fucking loser, I put it on performance mode. But for some reason I was like, this is really choppy and weird looking. It's giving me a headache. Turns out it was on the visual quality mode. So I might be becoming one of those people who genuinely cannot play games at like 30 FPS, and I dread to think of my future if that is the case.
We'll actually be talking more about game performance in a little bit when we get to one of the games that I've been playing. But on this episode, we'll be talking about Ninja, Shinobi, and Elliot. All the stars are here. But before all that, a quick thank you to Jerem for art, as always. It still looks great. And with that, we're going to move on to the games. Scott, you and I have both been playing the same game, and this is the game that I wanted to talk about the performance of a little bit. Tell me a little bit about your time playing Ninja Gaiden Ragebound.
Performance was not something I ever thought about during playing it, so I'm interested to see where this goes. That game rips. I played it back in February, because I went to the .emu offices, and it's one of those games where I come out of the preview and I'm like, fuck me, I really want to play this again. I bought The Messenger, and I bought
Blasphemous?
Katana Zero.
Oh, Katana Zero, yeah.
Because I was like, I need something to hit like that hit. Neither of them are, they're very different games. It's not that they didn't hit, but they're quite different games. And then I got code in a couple of weeks ago, just before Donkey Kong came out. And yeah, that game's real fucking good.
It looks real fucking good. That pixel art is really nice.
The art is very nice. I mean, it's blasphemous, so obviously, but yeah, it looks very nice. But it feels like I don't love the original Ninja Gaiden games too much. I'm a big fan of
the NES ones are motherfuckers. They are assholes.
I mean, they're worst Castlevania games to me, and it's not really my kind of thing. But this one kind of, I wouldn't say it's like a good mix of the two, because really there's not too much of what that modern series is, aside from, there are things. It's very fluid, the combat. You know, you
I
can
will
kind of
say
combo almost. But
there's a bit early on where you fight Ryu, and
Hmm.
it's like a scripted loss. I think you can win
yeah,
it,
it's
but
not a scripted loss. But yes,
yes, you are
you
most
can
likely
win it
going to lose, and
because
Ryu finishes that fight by doing a pixel art 2D version of a very iconic move, and it fucking rules that they did that.
yeah,
It's awesome.
when we played it at that preview, I think the last like 20 minutes for all of us was just trying to finish that fucking boss fight. I did ask about that move as well. That was one of the first things I asked the devs, like, can we do that? Which,
I don't
unless
think
I've
so.
missed
Yeah,
something
I don't think
entirely,
so.
you cannot do that. But yeah, I mean, it feels very fluid in a way, because in those NES games, it's like, it's the Castlevania thing of you go, bleh, and then they're dead, you know? Whereas this, it's quite, you know, you're doing combos, but not really, because it's one hit kills, but you are, you know, doing rapid sword swings, you're doing throwing out your items and all that. But
There's like a
I
weird.
didn't.
There's kind of an Ikaruga thing going on as well with your sub weapons, where some
Yeah.
enemies will have a blue glow and some will have a pink glow. And if they have a blue glow, you have to hit them with one of your melee weapons or your jump
Mhm.
skill. And if they have a pink glow, you have to hit them with one of your range weapons.
Yeah, those
And
are for the one hit kill moves you can
yeah,
get. You can charge yourself up, and that is something I actually really wanted to point out because at points that game feels like a puzzle game almost,
Mm.
like a kind of something like Super Hot or Neon White, where you, if you go back through a segment, you're kind of planning out like, okay, this enemy has the glow, but then the other one, like one of the certain enemies you can't kill right away, and you'll kind of need the glowing
yeah.
thing.
And you're like, I'll
Yeah,
get this guy in the air first, then I'll jump over to the
yeah,
left and
but
I'll
you also kind of have to
throw a
like
knife at this
mentally,
guy, and then I'll run back over and like slash this big dude. And it's like this real fun kind of
yeah,
flow
like you're
state that you
mentally
enter.
mapping it out
Yeah.
as you're doing it, and it's still quite fast paced. Um, I played on PC, so I assume that's why I had no frame rate issues. I'm interested to hear
So
what the
interesting
Wait,
thing.
deal is.
that's the first time I've been sold on this game is you saying that it's like Neon White and that it's like combo-ish based. Because I like the Messenger quite a lot. I think that the DLC was a little bit too difficult. I don't think I ever finished it, but I really like
I
it. Just
didn't properly play it. I played like 10 minutes of it and was like, this does not feel like Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, but I'll
no,
come back to it. I'll come
no,
back
it's
to it.
older. It's different. It's the same thing. But the closest one when I was seeing footage of it was that I was thinking of the new Prince of Persia game, which I liked but didn't love because it does have that the combat in it is really fun. But I had some problems with like the design. I think I'm like one of the only people on Earth who did.
Wait, are we talking
Um.
the roguelike one or the
Oh no, shit. The
The Montpellier one.
thank you. Yeah, the Montpellier. Why am I forgetting the
Okay,
name of
right,
it?
right.
Lost
The real game, not the
Crown? Lost Crown?
Lost Crown. Yeah.
I never played it. I probably should.
It's kind of like what you're talking about, where there are some enemies where you have to like do specific moves on them, but it's mostly like they kind of looked at fighting games and built their combat around that. So you're comboing
I,
enemies, you're throwing them in the air, you're throwing them down. It makes it more than just the one
my
hit.
sole experience with Lost Crown, Henry was there for it. We I can't remember where we were. We were somewhere and there was a demo for it. And
EGX.
EGX, yeah, because I was there with you
uh,
guys.
maybe it was. I can't remember. But the Ubisoft rep went like, oh, it's really hard. Like a lot of people are struggling, and I took that as the most like that was the sweatiest I think I've ever been on like a show floor demo because I was like, not for me, not for me, fucker. I think he said I was the only person that day who'd beaten the boss without dying, and I was like, damn fucking right I am. You're damn. I was so ungodly, not literally sweaty. I probably was as well, but I was going to the Sonic Symphony that night, so no one would have noticed.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you actually kind of want to be sweaty and gross going to the
Yeah,
Sonic
I want the
Symphony.
musk going
It's
in.
it's like when like people in zombie movies cover themselves in zombie guts so that the zombies can't tell that they're
I mean,
humans.
Henry can attest to this. I before going into the Sonic Symphony, I was like, "Oh fuck, there's gonna be Sonic fans there." But I tell you what, the second that second half started, and they started with that fucking Shadow the Hedgehog theme, I was one of them.
Oh, it's
Pure.
beautiful.
That was pure. I am cringe, but I am free. You know, like that shit.
I
Fucking
am
hit.
the energy in that room at that point. So fucking good.
Fucking that and like Tenacious D are the most like massive crowds I've been in terms of like just how overpowering it was. You know,
I think
what
that
was I
says
asking?
something that well, like you said something that those are the two fandoms that you're like, these are where I found like the most passion. It's
No, I mean, like
Tenacious D.
those fuckers were loud. Those fuckers were loud. Like
Okay,
honestly, like
here's an idea, Henry. Just running this by you, co-owner
All
to
right.
co-owner. We raise enough Patreon support. We send Scar to the Juggalos, to the Gathering of the
Yes.
Juggalos,
yeah,
and see
only if they
if
play
the
the
energy matches. See if
only if they
like
play the terrible Chris Benoit song that they
no.
made. But yeah, I mean, okay, tangent. I hate stadium shows, not stadium shows, like arena shows. Like the
I agree
OBO
with you.
Hydro in Scotland is not great because you have to be like right in the middle, otherwise you don't feel it. If you get me, like it's feeling it. I guess is different than being there. You know, once you're really in the crowd, you feel it. But because I'm an old fucker now, I don't like getting really into the crowd because I am sore and I am tired. Tenacious D was the one where it was like, holy fuck, these people are fucking loud. You could feel it from everywhere. And also, I saw Kyle Gass's ass and balls at that show because he mooned Jack Black, and I think he maybe went a bit far. And then two months later, they were split up because
Yeah, I
of
was gonna say you're never gonna be able to see that again.
yeah. So at least
There,
I saw Kyle
Kyle Gass
Gass's
bad.
ass and balls before.
Small bit of behind the
before they split up.
scenes info. We were kind of like talking before the podcast went live, and Scott was like, "Oh yeah, highlight the games that you really want to talk about because we might not get to them all." And now
Yeah,
here we are
but
talking about Kyle Gass's ass and balls. It's like, oh,
know
this
what?
is why we're not going to get to them all. Okay.
I
Plan
want-
is
think
coming together.
I want to.
I think that's
mention-
really important to Ninja
We
Gaiden
go back-
Ragebound, actually.
We're
Yeah.
going to go back to episode 1, and after that show, we talked about potentially maybe segmenting things a bit better because we have a tendency to go long. And you said the best podcasts are the ones that go off on a fucking rager. And would you look at that? And also, this way, when we eventually do go long, I don't need to talk about fucking, I don't know, Battlefield 6.
No,
Ooh,
we're
I
going to have to
don't
do
know.
that. We're going to... Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you
I'm
have to
going to bring it up.
self-promote, you stupid.
yeah.
Anyway, you're the one who did not answer with the frame rate. That's what I asked you, and then
Yeah, go ahead, Lex.
so
Sorry,
it's your
honestly-
fault that Kyle Gass's ass and balls appeared on this podcast.
That's a real charitable way to describe you interrupting me when I was about to explain.
Actually, it was Mick that interrupted you.
Yeah,
and
but
then I
to Scott's
interrupted
credit,
Mick.
that was
Yeah.
me. I
Um,
was being the colonizing American in
yeah.
the conversation, and I really just needed to do that.
How did we get there?
Who knows?
Sonic
Prince of
76.
Persia, EGX, Sonic Orchestra.
Yeah,
Um,
okay, there we go.
But yeah, so when I requested code for this, they were like, "Oh yeah, here's a PS5 code," and I was like, "Oh, actually, you know, I've been looking for things on my Switch too. Like, I just want to use that device. I want to feel like I'm getting my money's worth out of it at the moment." So I was like, "Actually, could you send me over a Switch code for it?" And they were like, "Yeah, sure, but just so you know, those aren't coming in until release day." And I was like, "Okay, fine. Like that, I'm not too bothered. If I am gonna write about this, it will be for Rewinder, and it'll be after the game comes out anyway, so it's fine." Turns out that version of that game is locked at 30 FPS, and not like the most consistent 30 FPS either. It doesn't drop below 30 FPS, but there's definitely some frame pacing issues and some blurriness to it. Other interesting thing is it doesn't have the CRT filter, the Switch version, which I guess is testament to just how much overhead good quality CRT filters require now, because I've heard that CRT filter is pretty good. But yeah, it's not... I wouldn't recommend playing the Switch version if you have multiple consoles, because I do legitimately think, like you were saying before we started, Scott, like, I think that game is harder at 30 FPS than it is at 60, because there is so much going on screen, and it's so much down to reaction times. I have found myself definitely, like, with certain boss fights being like, I am struggling a bit here, and it is purely because I am not reacting fast enough, and it's not that I'm not a good enough gamer, it's that I physically can't react fast enough.
Okay, yeah, I've just looked up. I wonder if they're maybe just a team that hasn't got a Switch 2 dev kit yet.
That's what I'm
because,
guessing.
Cosmic Invasion and Absalom aren't coming to Switch 2 either.
Yeah.
The-
That's what I'm guessing. I'm sure at some point they will. It's kind of interesting because, like, this game is weird because it's Ninja Gaiden, but it's not a Koei Tecmo game. And Koei Tecmo did get Switch 2 dev kits, so obviously they got them and were like, well, we can't share with you because you're an outside partner or whatever. So I would expect that at some point this gets patched and they might just uncap the frame rate totally. That might fuck over people on the Switch 1 who then have a inconsistent frame rate. But yeah, it's weird playing it on this.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No, I was going to say that's what it sounds like. It sounds like it's a Switch 1 game that has been ported over to Switch 2, if that's what you're talking about.
So no, it just plays the Switch 1 version. There is no Switch 2 version at all.
Okay, yeah.
And they've said like, oh, it runs better, but I don't know what that means. Like when they sent it over, they were like, just there's no dedicated Switch 2 version, but it runs better on Switch 2. I'm like,
that just sounds like it benefits from like the minor performance upgrade you often see.
Like does that just mean it loads quicker? I think maybe.
I assume so.
It's really weird too that it doesn't run on an uncapped frame rate, because isn't that part of the benefit of like bringing Switch 1 games over without a patch, is that if there's an uncapped frame rate, the Switch 2 will automatically do that?
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that they haven't just uncapped the frame rate and said like fuck it. But yeah, right now maybe just like don't get the Switch version and wait to see if they do address it in a patch. I am curious. As we're recording this, there was an Nintendo Indie Direct tomorrow. I'm curious how many of those games actually are Switch 2 versions.
I mean, Hades will be. I don't know that much else will.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm expecting. Is like the big games like Hades and Silksong will get dedicated Switch 2 versions.
Silksong's not gonna be there.
Oh yeah, it's not gonna be at that show, but it will have a dedicated Switch 2 version when it comes out.
Yeah, I think they've already confirmed that.
Yeah, but like I'm curious how many of these indie games that they are showing at their showcase actually have dedicated Switch 2 versions, if any. So yeah, Henry, you have been playing a bunch here. I quickly want to hear a little bit about the games that you reviewed on the site, just because I want to make sure we get to them.
Sure.
Just tell me what they are and tell people where they can find your reviews on them, because I edited both of these reviews, I think.
Yeah, okay, so you can find two of the reviews on on Rewinder. So one of them is not so much a review, but it basically is impressions of And Roger. I don't really want to say much more than that, other than it is an interactive novel, and it is utterly heartbreaking. Yeah? So if you've got a spare hour and you're ready to put yourself through that, strongly recommend. You've also got Dear Me I Was, which another Rewinder review, and that one is quite interesting because it's by Arc System Works, and they have done a textless adventure.
And it's the same creative director as Hotel Dusk, right?
Art director.
Art director, yes, art director.
Not sure on the rest, but no, you can absolutely see those similarities with like the pencils, shaded artwork, and things like that. And it's beautiful. There's a lot of things which you could read into it. Some things are quite up to interpretation because of that. Not actually saying a single word. But it's good.
And it's only like $7 as well. It's like super cheap.
Yeah, something like that. I think it's like £6 in the UK. But
and then you also had one that you wanted to talk a little bit more about that you don't have something on the site for. What is Hidden Memories of the Gardens Between?
So this is a VR version of a 2018 indie puzzle game called The Gardens Between. It's an odd leap to make, admittedly. You don't control the characters directly, but what you do is you manipulate time.
I remember this game, yeah.
Yeah, I like the name sounded familiar, so go ahead.
Yeah, so they've brought that back, and basically how you play it is that in the headsets, it's like a diorama. Like imagine like you're playing like a board game, like how it's laid out in front of you, but it's a digital world instead. And you don't even need like controllers. You can just use hand tracking alone. So like you just pinch, move to the right, and you've got you're fast forwarding time. You do it the opposite way. You're rewinding it. It's an interesting take on it.
And so
Yeah.
what's new about this particular version of it?
So aside from the perspective shift, they have added in some new. They've added. It's basically like hide and seek with certain items. You're trying to find different items across these levels, and that will unlock additional memories, aka the hidden memories, that we didn't have before. That's the biggest change. They've also given it a new intro, which sort of sets it up like a sequel almost, but
Huh.
it's like one brief scene and then you're just retreading the previous game. It's a bit of
Weird.
an odd one.
Huh.
Yeah.
I mean, you obviously play a lot of VR games and stuff, and this is brought over 7 years later. Do you feel like do you feel like this is something that more games should do? Is it a successful transition into VR? Was it interesting enough to warrant either playing it for the first time that way or playing it again? Like, I'm just really interested in like why they would do this. I suppose.
Yeah, it's one that if you played it before, I don't think it's enough that's new to really warrant a second playthrough. Not that it is a particularly long game. It's only about what is it, 3 hours or so. So not like Atlas asking you to go through Persona 5 all over again, as an example. But it's such a strange one. I feel like this wouldn't have happened if Meta hadn't given them the money to port this.
I mean,
'Cause it's
that's
a very-
almost every VR game now. Is this wouldn't have happened if
Well-
someone hadn't given them the money to port this?
I mean, yeah, that is true, but it's just such a niche thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, which makes me think that's their doing.
And Mick, you have two games here, two very different games.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the one that we've all probably played a bit of, because I played a bit of it this week as well. Donkey Kong Bonanza. How have you been finding it? What are your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, beyond getting a little bit sick with it, it was actually a great experience because I played it oddly in like a co-op fashion. My friend had come over and he didn't have the game yet, so we actually took turns doing the first two levels. And that was really fun just because that was like goofing around, but it also showed, I think, a lot of what I think a lot of people are seeing as kind of like the flaws almost of the game, and that it is far more open. It really reminds me almost more of it's you can almost see the DNA to Donkey Kong 64 in my opinion. And I don't know if people have made that connection because there's just so much to collect. It's not like you're going back and forth 4 times, but it's that as you're going around the world, all you're doing, you're not platforming really. That's a big conversation I've seen on Remap and other podcasts. You're not platforming. You are just kind of going around, and then sometimes there's challenges for bananas, and otherwise you're finding fossils and you're interacting with small things, and like it's one of those kind of almost feature creep games where it's super fun and very joyful, but there's always something that you're doing. So it kind of makes it feel like you're never doing anything as interesting as you could be. I don't know if anybody agrees with me on that, but
That's
that's
kind of a
my
carryover from Super Mario Odyssey, I feel, and it's the same kind of thing where I think it's like Mario Odyssey, Elden Ring. I both feel the same way about, where like they are probably better games than 64 and Dark Souls, but the way that they do it, because there is so much of it, every star in Mario 64 feels way more special than like every 10 moons of Odyssey.
Yeah.
But the way I've kind of justified this to myself, at least this time around, because I've played Mario Odyssey a couple times now, and it's always been something I've kind of felt. It's just a case of you kind of have to treat those triple bananas and those 5 bananas as like you would a star in those old games. But I totally get what you mean. But that's
I think
sort
yeah,
of,
I don't because I agree with you. It's just like it's Mario Odyssey somehow still felt a little bit more constrained in that regard.
And I think
because
that's
of, like,
probably
you're always doing a story.
and that's always probably because like that game, it's when you arrive at a kingdom, it's like you need to collect this many moons before you move on to the next kingdom. Donkey Kong, you don't need to do that. You can just fucking blaze through the story.
People have beaten the game with no bananas.
Yeah, which is really interesting and weird.
Didn't know that was possible.
Yeah. Scott, I'm curious. Have you like done the true ending and stuff, or how?
I did the true ending. I think I did it before we did the podcast last time. I
Okay,
was in the midst of
because
it
I
last
did
night.
that this week.
But I last night just got every single banana.
Yeah.
There is to get in the game, so I am done.
And
for...
I do think that if you're looking for like those platforming challenges, you do kind of get a bit more of that in the stuff that you do for the true ending.
I think I mentioned this last time, but it's kind of almost like Mario Odyssey by way of Tears of the Kingdom, where I think I said this exactly last time, but you know how in Breath of the Wild, like those shrines are your dungeons in a way.
Yeah.
Those are your dungeon challenges. It's the same thing where those not the circles, but the kind of triangle areas. I don't really know if they have names. That's your
Challenge room?
platforming.
Yeah, the challenge
Yeah.
rooms it's kind of where you get your puzzle platforming stuff.
And you had some of that in Mario Odyssey when you would like go into the building. It would be like a platforming challenge, but it's just even I don't know. It's Mario Odyssey felt so good to move in, like the platforming. I think Donkey Kong feels good to move in too a lot. Honestly, you can tell it's the same team.
Yeah, I've at first I was kind of in the same boat, but honestly now that I've played more of it, I think I might prefer how Donkey Kong moves. Like the way you can like extend jumps and that. Like obviously you can do that a lot in Mario Odyssey, but like comboing in like the turf surf and all the transformations and all that stuff, it like feels real good to me. I don't know if it's just because I've done everything now and I've had to do a lot of moving about.
Yeah, I think the mechanic that I'm a little bit least sold on, just because of the platforming, is the climbing, because it makes total sense for Donkey Kong, but it also kind of takes away some of the need to platform all the time, because there are only a few surfaces that you can't climb. Everything else you could just go as high as you want. There's no stamina meter. There's nothing. Donkey Kong just goes. At least where I've gotten so far.
Yeah, and I think there's kind of a joy to that as well. It kind of feels like you're getting one over on the game sometimes, of like, yeah, this is how we want you to do it, and then you're like, actually, what if I just fucking went around the side? What if I just climbed the wall because I'm a fucking monkey and I can climb a wall?
The area, I believe it's called the resort layer, the one that's got the big watermelon in the middle. You can literally just fucking climb on top of that watermelon at the start of the level and skip that entire layer. Same with the racing layer. There's a thing at the end you want to go on, and you can get there, and you can just skip that entire layer. And I think that's maybe more down to, at the end of the day, this isn't a new Mario. You know, if you are making Donkey Kong, you know, it's probably the best move to let you, you know, climb on everything and break everything in it. But it does, like I said before, it makes it feel more like a Zelda kind of Tears of the Kingdom situation than explicitly, you know, a new Mario Odyssey game.
On a podcast this week, Patrick Klepek and Kat Bailey were talking about it. It's like whether this is a platformer, and part of what they define as a platformer is challenge. And I do think, like, I'm somebody who's like, I've completed all of Celeste. I've done A, B, C sides. And like to me, those are so rewarding because of the difficulty of it and the fact that it's really pushing me to get better. And I feel like even Mario Odyssey required me to, you know, master the movement system in some way. And at least where I am getting, there's like fucking 15 levels in this game, right? Like it's a massive game.
16 sublayers.
16, yeah. There's a lot of levels in this game. I'm not very far in, but at the same time, I know, like, just like right now, I'm not feeling that motivation to like learn how to do all the things, except personally. There's no, you know, there's no like, oh, I'm gonna have to learn how to wall bounce. I'm gonna have to do all this, and I just think that that's,
I mean,
both inclusive and not.
But I don't really feel like you had to learn all that in Mario Odyssey either. But
that's true.
I do. It comes back to our argument on Death Stranding, where I was like, just don't do it. To Lex about the cars. Platformer is such a weird genre though. Like it's one of those genres that really needs, like, and it does kind of have those subgenres like collectathon and all that. But like, this is completely different to. You've got you got the two main 3D platformers. You've got the Sackboy, a big adventure style Astrobot Mario 3D World type deal, where it is literally Crash Bandicoot. That's probably the more appropriate describer. Like those level based ones, whereas obviously Nintendo and all that went a lot into the you want to collect stuff, because really
And I think
Bandicoot.
there's
Sorry.
there's almost something nice about Nintendo still being able to make a new spin on the platformer genre. Like the idea that we're kind of going like, hey, is this even a platformer? It's kind of nice that they're willing to experiment in those things, because like you think about Nintendo for a while there, especially their 2D platformers, like the new Super Mario Bros games, just the most repetitive shish, and like at some point it started to feel uninspired, and you're like, man, you have these great characters, you have these great developers, and you're using it to like make the same game over and over. And at least this feels different in a way, and like it might not be as pleasing to some people, but there are going to be people who like this is their favorite Nintendo platformer, and it's because it's so different.
I think experimentation and movement and all that is kind of core to what a 3D platformer is to me. Whereas stuff like Astrobot and Super Mario 3D World feels more like that is a 2D platformer flipped on its side. Whereas something like Mario 64 on Kong Bonanza, that's its whole other thing.
Astrobot and Super Mario. I love Super Mario 3D World, and I think you're right. I think they're more
Yeah,
about the gimmicks of the levels. They're more about the creativity of
Mhm.
where you're doing things rather than what you're doing. I just think, to zoom out a little bit, if I'm looking at Nintendo's output from the past few years, I don't find this game as unique. I find it unique for Donkey Kong. I don't find it unique within their catalog, because there is Mario Odyssey, there is the two Zelda, like Tears of the Kingdom. It went into Echoes of the Wisdom. It went Echoes of Wisdom. It went into Kirby. Like, it's really unique in the series, but this is very quickly becoming the design ethos of Nintendo, and that's almost starting to feel a little samey to me. And that's just a very interesting thing for a company that I do think is very creative and very very focused on doing that. And I kind of just wonder why, when even Bowser's Fury was a great palette cleanser, because it took those ideas but put it in that 2D setting. It became, it's the way are you doing these things, and it expanded that movement, and it was unique in a sense. And I just feel
on one hand, I do agree with you. On the other hand, what if they made a Pikmin with destructible environments? What if they made a Pikmin with the Frostbite
that's the challenge
engine?
of Pikmin.
What if they what if they use the Frostbite engine, Scott? What if they use Levolution? What if you could tear down the buildings?
Well, it's destructible environments are always so funny. It's like, didn't we get Crackdown?
Yeah. What if the Pikmin were just terrorists?
I think it's amazing that Donkey Kong runs at all. But still.
Oh fuck, what was I going to say? Yeah, to go on your point of Nintendo's output the last few years, I do think that Kirby is maybe a suitable middle ground, and it'll be interesting to see what they do with Mario after this, because do they go back to that kind of more linear Mario Galaxy, Mario 3D World style, when have Donkey Kong be your big open thing? I think Kirby suits, or at least from the one 3D game we got, suits quite well to that kind of 2D game flipped on its side mentality. Because I don't think you can do this kind of game with Kirby. I don't think a big collectathon game works for Kirby.
No.
So it might just be a case of what we know these franchises as becomes something different. Obviously, that's already happened with Zelda, even going into the 2D games as something different now. I would love for them to not Star Fox Adventures it, because fuck Star Fox, but something where you kind of evoke old Zelda into Star Tropics. I don't know, man.
As much as I love Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, I think my favorite Zelda game is always A Link Between Worlds, because it just handles, it's at that perfect inflection point of where they were doing the classic and then they were bringing in the newness that was a testing ground for Breath of the Wild. And it's just I don't know, it has that structure, but it has that openness in the same way that it seems like Kirby has, or it seems like, Bowser's Fury has. And Donkey Kong Bonanza, as fun as it is and as enjoyable as it is, I think just goes almost so far to the other side where it's like it's not even in the middle anymore. It's like this is what I would consider the extreme of a Nintendo 3D platformer to be. The same way that Donkey Kong 64 was the extreme of what a Nintendo 64 platformer
I
was.
do get
from
what
Rare.
you're saying about that kind of feeling like an extension of 64, because it is that kind of collectathon mentality that if something like Banjo Tooie or Donkey Kong 64 had the tech available to it, they may have actually worked back then. But with the limited tech of like, because Banjo Kazooie is not exactly like platforming, it's exploring, it's not really the actual platforming is too fucking clunky in that game to actually matter. And I feel like the angle and the tech and being able to move faster and break the fuck out of everything really suits what it feels like, that kind of what that needed to work. And I think it's maybe good that we've gone however many years before trying that again.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, speaking of the hidden levels in video games, tell us a little bit about the hidden bosses in Deltarune, Mick.
Yeah, so I played Deltarune when it first came out, and then I never got around to Chapter 2 and 3 and 4. And so when the Switch 2 version released, I bought that, and I've been pushing myself to do the secret bosses. And I specifically just kind of want to bitch about the what is it like the secret boss of Chapter 3, who is the kind of the screaming
Sans
knight. I forget.
Undertale.
Yeah, it is basically just like the whole game, under Deltarune is like Undertale. It is meant for you to not fight anybody if you want to be doing the good parts. Like it's not pacifist, it is really more neutral so far. But this boss fight really requires you to actually be attacking and requires you to deck out your characters like it is an RPG, like to buy the weapons and buy the armor and do all these things that you kind of don't need to do anywhere else. And it's really interesting in the regard that it's an inversion, and it's really frustrating in the fact that you can do so well in all of the like the bullet time mini games and still fail. And like it really required me to text my friend a lot and talk strategy and do things, which I think was super interesting, but it's like almost felt like it's kind of a different game for a few minutes. But they're really I don't know if you guys are doing the secret bosses. They're very worth it. I think Deltarune is a
I'm
really
still like in that mode of like I'll play it all when it's all ready. Like I'll do it all in one go. Which
you'll wait like 5 more years until
I know,
chapter
I
7
know.
or 8 comes
Which
out.
in one hand is really annoying because I'm like, man, I can't have these conversations with people. On the other hand, it's nice not to feel like I have to play a game right now. It's nice if I can just be
Sure.
like, oh, here's a new release I don't have to know about.
I have not even played Undertale. I mean, I have. I've gotten a decent few hours into it before, but I've never got there with it. And it's weird because I tend to not really get into these kind of RPGs unless they have something kind of different going on. Like I don't really like Sword and Shield stuff, so it
Sure.
should be something I dig. But no, I haven't got into it. I do think it's interesting that Deltarune is Undertale backwards, though. That's a really cool.
Yeah, make you
Yeah,
think. Make you think.
it it make you think. It really is just like I don't know. I think I saw somebody say it's like Undertale fan fiction, and it kind of is. I think the story is that this is what Toby Fox always wanted to do, and Undertale was a simplified version to help him get to that point. I'm not
I
sure
mean,
how true that
isn't the
is.
whole thing fucking Homestuck fan fiction?
It's also Earthbound fan fiction. On
Yeah.
Earthbound Halloween Hack basically started everything.
Yeah.
But they're the perfect size of RPG for me. I was just talking with somebody. I was talking with Ashley Schofield about. She was like showing me how many fucking hours she has in different Yakuza games, and I cannot go for an RPG for more than like 30 hours without losing my mind and just getting really impatient. And these are like perfect 5 hour, 6 hour experiences, and you can extend them if you want to. And like I think the longest one in the same vein that I would go for is like Omori.
Does
Like
it
they just really kind of nail that.
structural question, does it restart your like leveling progress at the start of each chapter, or is it just
No, since you're
okay?
doing the chapters sequentially, if you're starting from chapter 1, you're building on your save file.
Okay. And can you start from one
So
of the other chapters?
you can
That's
if you want
weird.
to.
Just like, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm just gonna start from chapter
so
6.
I did a goof. So in chapter 3, there's a very specific thing you have to do to get the secret boss, and I missed one of the steps, and I actually had to go back and start a new chapter 3 file from my chapter 2 file. So it doesn't just erase it, it does keep it on the system and allow you to like kind of branch out if you want to do it again, which I think is pretty neat. I was really worried it wouldn't do that. But yeah, no, you can, it does build, it does have that sequential feel of an episodic game if you want to go in that way. If you've already played episode 1 and 2 and want to just go into 3 and 4, and it's on like a different console, obviously you can't do that. And you're going to lose some dialogue options. You're going to lose some small things that are there.
Yeah.
It's the playing Mass Effect 3 on a PS3 of its era. Speaking of subversive RPGs, Scott, I was surprised to see the next game that you had down here, Expedition 33. I didn't think this would be a Scott game.
I've been saying for months I need to play it so I can more effectively argue against it when Game of the Year comes around. No, I mean I always meant to get to it. I didn't kind of, I try to make a point to play what people consider the best games of the year most years, even if they're not entirely my jam.
Sure.
And you know what? It's an interesting concept, as a cool concept, and also, it was made by like two French people in a garage somewhere, or whatever they tell me.
Yeah.
I don't have much to
Tony
report at
Stark
the
made
moment.
this in a cave with a box of scraps.
Exactly. Just like Miyamoto made Donkey Kong Bonanza on his
All
own.
on his own, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really too far in. I've just met the guy that everyone loves, the big funny guy, the big Emilio or whatever.
SKA.
Espio from Sonic
Yes, that one.
Heroes. I've just met him, so I'm not too far in. What I guess one thing I did want to talk about, and yes,
This
the
game has a
contextually
parry
cool.
system. I thought you'd love that
Yeah,
shit.
I do. I actually really do. And you can tell the person really loves Devil May Cry because Gustav's run animation and his overworld attack animation are just like directly ripped from Nero and Devil May Cry.
I think
It is
in that
blatant.
GameSpot documentary that they did on this game, the creative director was like, "Yeah, I used to be a Devil May Cry speedrunner."
Oh yeah, no, I've seen his boss runs. He is
Yeah.
he is sick.
I'll just say, by the same logic, you could say that whoever designed Lune is a big Tarantino fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know if she goes faster, but it feels like she goes faster. But I also
It
don't want to
does,
use.
yeah.
I don't want to use her.
Sounds
I've
like
just
a skill
unlocked.
issue.
I'm terrible with names. I've just unlocked a fourth party member.
Skill.
Yeah, skill.
You?
But yeah, what I really wanted to say more than anything was, so I'd obviously heard that this has a really good soundtrack, and in my head I'm like, people said Stellar Blade had a really good soundtrack. Is this going to be just like fucking French near music? I was not prepared for how fucking cool that soundtrack is.
Yeah.
That shit gets funky. That shit
It goes
gets
places.
synthy. That is real fucking good music.
You haven't even gotten to the point where you meet a certain party member and you have to recruit them. And boy, when you first like fight them to like recruit them, their music fucking slaps. You will know who it is when you reach it because it is nuts.
The music in that arena segment was so fucking good.
Yeah.
Holy shit. The casino as well, like the bass line for that casino. I did not expect that. And again, I don't like fantasy RPGs that much. This kind of breaks that down for me a little bit, where it's it's not really super fantasy heavy. But yeah,
I mean, France is real, so that helps.
Yeah, that's the sad bit.
Are we sure about
Sorry.
this?
Sorry, what?
That's the bad bit.
When was this? Wait.
I like the
Of
main
course.
music. The main music is funny. Also, yeah, it's quite funny, right? It's quite
it's like shocking.
The dialogue's
for
quite...
as dark as that subject matter is, like it has levity, and those characters are like given space to explore like the lighter side of life every now and again.
They're quite awkward people. They're not really JRPG protagonists. Even Paella, I didn't realize she was meant to be like a teenager because she is not annoying. But like this is probably something I'm gonna have to like come back to when I finish it, which should hopefully be by the time we get to the next podcast, because I don't think it's that long.
It's not that long. You're still pretty early in. I'm curious what you think about where the story goes.
I mean, I know the big thing.
Yes, like the big thing is one thing, but like just from a thematic sense, where that story goes and where it ends up, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it.
I do think if I had one criticism of the story so far, and I guess it isn't really as much a criticism as it is like I'm maybe a bit stupid, but at the start of that game, they don't really explain what's going on at all. Like you get it from the context clues as you go on longer. But at the start of that game, they don't really do a good job of explaining actually what a Gomage is.
I kind of like that. I kind of like that they just drop you into the world
and
they're like, okay, this is a weird fucking world and you can figure it out.
But also, I really like that character at the start.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
it does, that opening sequence does a good job at setting the tone. It really does.
That's real good.
In a genre that really struggles with its opening sequences and pacing, it has a very strong opening sequence that gets you invested for the rest of the game.
I'm calling it now. Jen English is sweeping every fucking award this year.
Oh yeah, she's really good.
I've just had her like second dream sequence, and Jesus Christ, real fucking good.
Yep.
It's a shame that Jenny Kid will not be nominated, because I know we're going back here, but I think Pauline's voice performance is really good, especially when you consider that as a Nintendo game. And you know what? I'm gonna derail it because we've missed the point to talk about it. That Shinobi demo is real good.
I forgot about that. Sorry.
Far more combo focused than I thought it would be, and that is really cool. You should try that Shinobi demo out. I didn't think it would come anywhere near to Ragebound, but fuck me, that game has the sauce. But yes, and also I did something on WWE for the Switch.
Dude, we're getting a Shinobi game and a Ninja Gaiden 2D game in 2025. Like, are they gonna fucking bring back Strider again next? What the fuck is going on? They should.
That 2014 Strider fucking ripped.
It's badass. They should bring back Strider again.
They should bring back Swedish game studio Grin, who were making a Strider game. And I know that Bionic Commando reboot kind of fucking flopped, but that was a good studio. I really liked Grin.
I enjoyed the reboot for all its narrative flaws.
That reboot is actually good, and I refuse to say I get it. The wife is the arm is really funny, like it is. It's kind of hilarious, but that game feels fucking good. That is like, aside from Spider-Man 2, that was the best feeling swinging in a game until that new Spider-Man came out.
It was solid, and Rearmed was great as well.
It was also one of those games that had weirdly good multiplayer for that era, like the Uncharted 2, Last of Us kind of Kid Icarus Uprising era of let's pop a fucking multiplayer in there. That Bionic Commando multiplayer, banging. Wife Farm, Mike Pan.
And
do we have any other games?
No, I'll probably talk about it on our next episode. I'm going back and forth on Tears of the Kingdom. Turns out that game's pretty good. And it's kind of weird playing it on Switch 2 because it feels wrong. Like, it shouldn't look that good. It shouldn't run that well.
No, I was thinking the same thing when I booted up Breath of the Wild.
Games.
Yeah, it's like, honestly, when I first, I said it, when we did that launch day stream of all the Nintendo games, I said it when I loaded up Breath of the Wild, I was like, this is like almost kind of upsetting. Like, there's a deep wrongness to this. Like, it feels like seeing a family member cry for the first time. You're like, oh, this is forbidden. This shouldn't be something I see.
Yeah, I said that in my review.
The draw distance is so good. I can't believe I can see actually all the way to the, Elden Volcano, and I can see the dragons going around and the sun is setting. I'm like, what is this what this was supposed to look like the entire time? And we just couldn't get it.
When I booted that up, I went straight to the forest, and I definitely had that feeling, and I think I wrote in the review where I was like, Jesus Christ, this is weird. This doesn't feel right.
And yeah, those are video games. We will probably play more over the coming weeks. It's going to be a weird... we'll have to figure out what our podcast schedule looks like because of Gamescom.
When is Gamescom?
2 weeks' time. Oh my god, it's on in 2 weeks' time.
Live from the Corconian.
Live from the
Yeah.
Corconian.
Either we have some weird recording from Germany where I am not there, or we have a recording where I am in charge, and it's going to be the worst podcast we have.
Henry, me and you
But-
could just like find somewhere on the show floor and sit there and just like grab random people as they walk by. That would
Kidnap,
be great.
Kidnap
You know
like
what?
Sam Lake or something.
Yeah.
Kidnapping aside, I'm in for this idea.
There's a bunch of Americans being sent this year, so like we should like find the min-max people and abduct them and bring them to the Corconian and be like, now talk to us.
Do
It's
the
just
Borat
guerrilla.
thing. Go up with a big sack and
Yeah.
steal them.
It's just guerrilla podcasting at that point. You just walk in with
Yeah.
like your microphones and like a Zoom, and you're just walking around talking as you're going through the show floor,
Henry,
pulling over random journalists.
What do you think of Kyle Gass's ass and balls?
Yeah.
Look, the risk of being drawn into a podcast is slim, but never zero.
You're right,
You don't
especially
know.
in Gamescom. There's always
Yes.
a podcast around the corner. We should also get lav mics. Like, even if we have better mics available to us, we should get those lav mics that people talk into and just, like, use
Go
those
on.
for the podcast.
Sure, why not?
Um,
Lean into it.
But yeah, Gamescom will be fun. And part of, like, Gamescom was I bet we're going to see a bunch more, like, Switch and Switch 2 games at Gamescom. There's that Indie Direct this week, which will be up by time this podcast comes out. There was a
Apparently
Nintendo.
there's
Oh yeah,
a third one coming.
yeah. There was a partner direct last week, which like had some interesting stuff. It was a good direct for Lexi, I'll tell you that much, because it had a bunch of RPGs and Yakuza games.
Yeah, it was fucking boring.
I'm really glad it was good for one person in the
Yeah,
world.
it's
Yeah.
a really bad. Let's go into it. I think.
It was not
Yeah,
bad,
please.
though, right?
Let's,
So-
let's go into the news.
So here's the thing. I think that direct, it's not a good direct, but also every game in that direct, you're like, yeah, this should come to Switch. And it's kind of weird that they like, I'm glad all these games are on Switch now, or on Switch 2 now, but I'm kind of like, yeah, that was a weird place to show them. Like, you could have just
so
announced this in a press release.
So yeah, the rumor is that they're doing a free phase thing where it's going to be this, then the indie world, then there's going to be an actual Nintendo Direct. And
Probably in
seeing
September.
Seeing how shit this Direct was kind of makes me believe that even more, because obviously they're going to save the actual like big third party games like Elden Ring and all that for that. Because really, who the fuck closes the show with fucking Octopath Traveler?
I would.
Especially when it's a
Zero.
port
That
of
Traveler's zero.
a mobile game
Yeah.
port. And also, that's like when they end the normal directs with like Xenoblade. Like, who gives a fuck? Why do you think that is big enough to end a direct with?
Scott,
Come
you
on.
are going
Look-
to get death threats for saying that.
Look, wait, I just have to. It's not bolded on here, but I need to come out and say the most important thing that was announced during this direct was the Plants vs. Zombies port.
Yeah.
Nothing
hell
else matters
Yeah,
to me
fair.
personally.
All right.
It kind of is probably the best game that's on the list.
I
It's-
actually kind of
certified
love their
banger.
solution to that game being in widescreen now, which is they've just made the bushes really thick. That's how they've solved that problem of like, hey, how do we adapt this from 4:3 to widescreen? They've just made the bushes really thick.
They spent
it's
like
just, it,
5 minutes on a game about using your webcams to sit around a fire.
Yeah.
Which is a cute,
Yeah, that was weird.
It's a cute game.
Yeah.
But I don't need that long to know what that game is.
So I will
This
say,
is a
like,
real game.
there were some things that I genuinely thought. I think that Adventures at Elliot looks interesting. The idea of an action RPG in the HD 2D style, like, yeah, sure. Final Fantasy Tactics, like, we know about, but that's a very good game, and it will be good when it comes to Switch 2. Same with Persona 3 Reload. Like,
Yeah.
that is a game that I
Which
think...
is getting rolled out in the fucking worst way possible.
Yeah, that game won't come with the Answer DLC, even if you buy
Nor
the most
will it
expensive
come
version.
with like the costume DLC and all that. And
Yep.
we're getting it what, like a year and a half
Yep, it's...
later.
It's a real Atlas release in a lot of ways.
And the game key card release on top of that,
Uh-huh.
the cherry.
Yep.
Which is weird because Sega, they kind of rolled up. Obviously, all their launch games were key cards, and then they went, "Oh, by the way, we're putting Sonic, whatever their new racing game
Cross
called.
Worlds, yeah.
Yeah, we're putting that on an actual card." So it seemed like they maybe heard what happened, and were like, "Okay, maybe we roll this back." But then everything else, I don't think there was a single game in this direct. It's not going in a key card.
So that I didn't put it into news, but over the last few days, it has been interesting. Nintendo put out a survey in English that they had previously put out in Asian regions, which was basically like, oh, tell us what you think of these different Switch features or Switch 2 features, and one of them was the game keycard, and people were like flooding that survey being like, hey, we fucking hate this, dog. And now it's come out that apparently the people who produce Switch cards are looking into widening the production scale of what type of cards they offer, because right now they only offer an 8GB or a 64GB. And most
Apparently-
companies don't want to pay for a 64GB card because it's really fucking expensive. So yeah, I think we're gonna start seeing less game key cards because like you hear the reporting numbers. The best-selling games at the Switch's launch, at least in physical stores, were the games that were all on the cache.
Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk
was the best-selling
and like
third-party game.
Fantasy Life I did really well. Like people just don't like, it's a toxic brand at this point.
It's truly also sentences nobody ever thought that you would say. Cyberpunk and Fantasy Life doing really well.
Yeah, together
in stores. Now, truth, yeah.
I think again, I think it's preferable to code in a box. I think that's fucking stupid, but it's almost not lazy, but you know what I mean. Like the only game on the Switch 2 that
it feels like you don't care.
Yeah, the only game on the Switch 2 that's above 64 gig, I believe, is WWE, and even then, that's a code in a box, so whatever. But you know, I understand it for stuff like that because obviously game sizes are going to get bigger. You're not going to fit all of Call of Duty on a fucking Nintendo Switch 2 cart. But yeah, stuff like why is Puyo Puyo Tetris 2 on a game key card? Why is Bravely Default a game key card? You know, like that fit in a DS cart, like or 3DS cart, like 10 years ago.
So yeah, we'll probably see more actual full games on the card coming up. Chronos the New Dawn is coming to Switch 2, which I'm curious to see how that looks, because that looked pretty graphically intensive in its previous trailers.
Yeah.
I think they might get away with it purely because of how dark that game is, and they'll be able to hide a lot of things in the blackness of it.
They announced the release date, which is like
September.
Weeks away, which is
September sometime.
Very out of the blue, especially when Silent Hill's out the same week. I believe.
Is it the same? Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Or a week later, anyway.
We're finally getting a new Katamari game. It's not even a port of the Apple Arcade one, which I've heard that Apple Arcade one's pretty good. But it is a fully new Katamari called Once Upon a Katamari. It looks like a new fucking Katamari, which is good enough for me. I am excited for that.
Yeah, I mean, you can't...
Thank you for explaining that it's new, because I truly was like, is this another port? Is this another remake? There was nothing showing me that this was not a PS2 game, like a PSP game.
I don't think there is too much. I think that's a series that perfected it kind of right away. But I think the power-up stuff they're doing is kind of... It's the Monkey Ball thing, where they did that new Monkey Ball, and they had the multiplayer thing, just as a kind of... That was their gimmick this time around, where... You know, that new Monkey Ball was quite good, and I'm hoping this is the same kind of thing where, like, okay, even though there's a multiplayer gimmick, it is just like, here's some more of the good Katamari. We don't need to try and do, like, whatever the fuck with it.
The other announcement that was, like, specifically for me is that Yakuza Kiwami 2 is getting a Switch 2 release, and Yakuza Kiwami 1 is getting a Switch 2 upgrade. This is interesting purely from the perspective that Kiwami 2 is one of the first Dragon Engine games, which basically means it's one of the games that they developed on their internal engine, which was super physics-based and totally couldn't run on a Switch 1. There was no way a Dragon Engine game ever would have run on a Switch 1. But it basically means that, like, any of those Yakuza games are now fair game for Switch 2.
Yeah, we're getting a fucking Yakuza game per Nintendo Direct for the next 2 years, I think.
Which, you know, totally game for.
They should add scenes where, like, all the characters who die magically come back to life.
Dude,
do you think you could like a dragon or Infinite Wealth or anything like that? Like, can they fit, or is it just going to be like a Dragon Ishin or something like that?
No,
particularly big games, I don't think.
I think
gig. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think they're like 50, 80 gig maybe.
Okay.
I know some of them. I know Infinite Wealth is pretty big because it has 3 pretty sizable maps in it, and also a section of another map.
Dondoko.
Yeah, it has like 4 maps in it, and yeah, there's just a lot of shit in that game. So I think that game gets pretty big, but like I don't see that being a reason for them not to bring any of those games. I think that we're gonna get 3, 4, and 5 all in one go, and that will be like a collection. Or
Yeah.
you'll be able to
No,
buy them
because
separately.
there's people have been weird with that on the Switch. And remember specifically Devil May Cry, instead of doing the HD collection, they released them like piecemeal. Same with the Resident Evil stuff.
Yeah,
So
you know, it could happen, but I think that they have that branding of the remastered collection, and those 3 games are the remastered collection games.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. I was like, I remember that these things, like, there was collections for Yakuza games already on other consoles. The fact that it's not here is or yet, I guess, has been
Yeah.
interesting.
Pac-Man World 2 Repack, which they made a second Pac-Man World game.
those
Okay.
games are
Yeah, that was
good.
news to me as well.
What? I feel like the second one was the big one, the one people liked.
Sure, whatever you say, man.
Those games are good.
Yeah, they're
I know.
perfectly okay platformers, which is a weird thing to say about Pac-Man.
It's got
Yeah, like
Tommy Tallarico's best work
You're
aside
right.
from the Intellivision. There's like a song in Pac-Man World 1. It's just like a remix of the arcade theme, and it's the funkiest fucking thing on the planet. So you know, all the scamming and all that is fine, but
The next one I can actually talk about because I loaded it up last night. Apex Legends has gotten a Switch 2 version that was already on Switch 1, but that Switch 1 version was grimy. Yeah, that game has gone places. I don't
I'm
know.
shocked that didn't come at launch along with Fortnite.
Yeah, it's weird.
Surely you would want that there right away.
Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is coming to Switch 2, which that
More
game
importantly,
was
that game's coming to Switch 1.
weird.
That game
Okay.
didn't even come out in PS4. And
Yeah.
it's coming to Switch 1.
that. Oh,
That's
Yeah.
gonna be fun.
That's an
All right.
interesting one. Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. This is the Musou game that is based off of Tears of the Kingdom, or is like filling in the gaps in the Tears of the Kingdom story. I'm curious how this performs because those
None of them have
Musou
ever
games
performed well.
yeah, those Musou
Ever.
games on Switch 1 have been some real rough fucking shit.
I remember Free Hopes didn't seem too bad, the Fire Emblem one, but
I
then
think-
I had come off of playing Age of Calamity not long before that.
I think the only one that did pretty well was the Wii U version, the port of that. I think that also sold
Yeah,
pretty
Yeah,
well.
Hyrule Warriors Legends, right? That was the full version. Or-
Legends was the
Complete,
PS one,
am I thinking?
something like that. I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah, there was a
How-
complete edition because Legends was the 3DS one. Yeah. You're correct.
How,
Yeah,
how are
that's
we
right.
feeling about this Hyrule? I don't know if any of you went through the same thing I did, but that last Hyrule Warriors was very exciting when they announced it, and then they were like, "Oh, by the way, it's a bunch of time travel shit." You know,
I'm going to say this. I put up a piece on Nintendo Life about, I think it was 4 years ago now, where I said it gives like the champions a second chance. And people were like, what second chance? They're dead. If only I'd known.
Yeah.
If only I'd known.
I thought that was such a lame, because obviously they've got to do the Halo Reach ending, you know, where they all die to Calamity Ganon, right?
Survive.
They did the little robot came back in time and they brought back Sidon and all that. So I'm kind of in a place where I'm going to need someone to tell me this does not pull the same kind of shit again before I play this, but I feel like it must. Because
Here's
they
your
did
first
that
mistake:
teaser.
caring about the overarching narrative of multiple Zelda
No,
games.
but I think that is a very cool time period to have covered. I think the imprisoning war and all that, and the whatever it's called in Breath of the Wild, I think those are very cool time periods to cover, especially from what was based or what happened in those actual games. So it felt a bit like, you know, cheap to be like, oh, by the way, there's a little time traveling robot and they win at the end, you know. So I am interested to see if they do that same shit, but they did tease like a construct enemy. They are a construct thing at the end, which is obviously going to be Link.
Yeah.
Probably
And final
some
thing
stuff.
here, I was talking over this live stream with the Giant Bomb folks because a bunch of them were out last week and Grub just needed someone to fill in last minute, and I fucking called my shot on this one in like a nanosecond. I saw that fucking egg and that art style and I was like, that's Monster Hunter Stories. And then I was like, why do I know this? I haven't played any Monster Hunter Stories games. Why is this
As soon as I heard that theme music, I knew it.
Yeah, no, I was also on the egg. I saw the cell shading and I was like, is this Zelda? And then as soon as I saw the egg, I was like, oh, it's Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which, yeah, sure, I hear those games are pretty good RPGs, but also...
They're better than Pokemon, which is not a high bar.
Yeah, also, like, the last thing I want to engage with Monster Hunter is the stories. So, you know, just maybe not the best idea for a franchise.
It's the same... I think it's pretty much the same plot every time. Oh, you're the one who's friends with the Rathalos. You can save the day. Do battles. They're good games, but
Yeah.
you know, it's
I've
pretty
I've always
basic.
just kind of
RPG
considered
stuff.
them How to Train Your Dragon adults
Yeah.
version.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I've never played them, but that's just what the story seems to be like. And I know it seems like the first one was a 3DS game, right? Like it was a little
Yeah.
bit more kiddie.
Yeah.
And then the Switch 2 got 2, and then it started to evolve a little bit.
They
It's
are
really interesting to go
honestly
from the
probably just kind of How to Train Your Dragon. It's not even for adults, you know.
Yeah.
It's quite that vibe. But yeah, I mean, it scratches that Pokemon itch in a way, but I don't really.
Yeah.
I don't
And that was the Direct. We'll probably get more Nintendo stuff over the coming months, especially with the Indie Showcase, and they almost always have a Direct in September, and Gamescom will be on, so there's going to be a lot more things.
Metroid doesn't have a date.
Yeah, they're just going to announce that on Nintendo today. It'll be fine. They don't care about that.
They're announcing it in a London Underground subway.
Yeah.
I figured that would be September because they had demos of that at
the events
those
announcing
back in April, yeah. So
yeah. Moving on, BioShock 4 leadership replaced as 2K insist it's committed to delivering a great game. This comes from Andy Robinson at VGC. There was a report by Jason Schreier, and basically it has been confirmed that Kelly Gilmore has left her role as the studio head, while creative director Horgath Delaplache has moved in to a publishing position. Delaplache had worked on previous BioShock games. According to Bloomberg, the leadership changes followed a recent failed review by executives at 2K publishing arm of Take-Two. BioShock 4's narrative was identified as an area that was particularly in need of improvement. So, here's the thing I want to ask you.
I just really quickly want to make a snide comment of I think it's amazing that they said it about this in BioShock Infinite just got put through, as if that story didn't somehow need improvement.
So here's the theory crafting, and I've talked a little bit about this with Jeff Grubb. When BioShock Infinite came out, it got a lot of flack in the months that came after for its fence-sitting politics. Rightfully so. That game has, like, dreadful politics, and I think it's a cowardly game. I bet they took that to heart, and the people who were running this game were writing with that in mind of, hey, we want to be biting again. Hey, we want to have something to say again. And the idea of failing an executive review, like from executives at Take-Two and 2K, for narrative reasons, the only way that makes sense, like, fucking executives don't know shit about game stories. They don't give a shit about game stories. The only way that they give a shit about this is if they look at it and they go, guys, I think this is too woke. I think you're maybe, like, I think this game probably had a Trump stand-in, and I think someone at Take-Two was like, hey, we don't want to piss anyone off. We gotta rewrite this. That's, like, my tinfoil hat theory on this, but, like, just from the vibe I get internally from these companies at the moment, that seems like the logical explanation for this. Do you think that I'm totally out of my mind on this one, or, like, does that make sense to you?
My kind of theory is what is BioShock at this point? Like, what do you do for a BioShock 4? Because to me, I just expect this to be like I I see a Bioshock 4 where it is like the Silent Hill problem, where they're gonna do a trailer and it's gonna evoke Bioshock 1, and at the end there's gonna be a big daddy, and they'll play, they'll bring in some of the old songs that you got in Bioshock Infinite. You'll probably have a companion. Like I just don't really know what Bioshock is at this point, and I don't even know. Like I feel like it's maybe gonna go in the opposite direction, where it's like a Ubisoft kind of,
So
we're
that's
not
the other
saying
thing that's worth
anything.
bringing up
I
about
don't.
this story is apparently this game has been in some form of development for about 10 years. Which I gotta what is going on at 2K? And the answer is very simple. They have Take-Two money, which means they have GGA money, so they don't actually have to release anything if they don't want. But the idea that like this game has been in development for 10 years and Judas has been in development for about 10 years as well, also at Take-Two, is nuts. It's nuts that they can work on games that long and not like have anything to show for it.
I think almost Scott, what you're asking is what is Bioshock? I don't really think anybody ever knew what Bioshock was. I think it was just kind of, I know Bioshock 2 had a different director, but I think it was just kind of Ken Levine being like, what are the politics that I'm interested in exploring? And by politics, I mean, what hot button topics can I make seem, like smart? What topics can I bring into the video game sphere and be seen as an auteur? Because if you actually look at the politics of any of those games, they are very regressive. They are interesting in the ways that they make the player question their gameplay and their choices. You got to remember that Bioshock is the game that caused ludonarrative dissonance to become an academic term that got just destroyed and shivved to death by video game journalists. But I think we are so far past just the uniqueness of what a Bioshock was that I'm kind of with you. I'm like, what is a Bioshock? What is a Bioshock in a post-Trump, post-truth world? How would you even craft a story about a truly like Bioshock is political? I'm putting my fingers up in quotes. Like
It's political
I
in the
don't know
same
how you
way that like
do
Tom
that.
Clancy novels are political.
Yeah,
They just want the aesthetics of political thriller and political, chargedness. They don't actually want to engage with the topics beyond more just saying that they exist.
To me,
it's
bringing back
political.
Bioshock just feels like we are bringing back an IP. We are making
Yeah,
content for an IP. Because obviously it comes from System Shock, like it's got, you know, roots there.
I,
And Judas
I
feels
think
like what that would be. Sorry,
no,
go
you're
ahead. You
good.
were
I'm just to like kind of to tie this to another story that we were going to talk about, Lex, of Battlefield 6. Of like, I think the big difference is that Bioshock has a almost like a weight toward being political. They have like a responsibility because they've done it already.
Mm.
Like, right, they're not propaganda. They might tell you, hey, Ayn Rand is really cool, read The Fountainhead, but like they're meant to make you question morality. Even Bioshock Infinite sort of does that with how it handles just
In
horribly handles
questionable
racism.
way, yeah, in questionable
It's just
ways
like the
Do you
most
want
questionable
sometimes.
ways.
do you want to be
But they
racist
are,
or
yeah. Do
still
you want to be
racist?
racist or do you want to be racist? Like, they
Oh,
are politically conscious games in a way that
yeah.
Battlefield and Call of Duty like never have been. So you could have Call of Duty or Battlefield coming in with this massively, horribly red room in a way that I think they haven't done since Battlefield Hardline with Battlefield 6. Just this jingoistic thing. And they can get away with it. And you have Take-Two looking at Bioshock and be like, oh, we can't do that.
Yeah.
Like they do have a responsibility of the series almost.
I'm like so fascinated in this subsect of the games industry because every time you hear about immersive sims and im sims and the people that work on them, there's a handful of people from the 90s who got really big and really famous in the gaming sphere and kind of heralded as these, great new auteur thinkers of the games industry and have had really, really long leashes as a result for the rest of their career. And in a lot of ways haven't had much to show for it. Like, you look at Warren Spector, you look at Ken Levine, you look at the people who kind of have come from that. You look at Wolf Eye Studio, the Rafael Colantonio studio, and him coming off a Prey and things like that. You look at those and like, oh, not Prey, Dishonored. You look at those and you're like, I think a lot of these people are just really big talk, and I don't know. Maybe that's just me being jaded, but I don't know.
You could throw Neil Druckmann in there too.
Probably. Anyway,
that's not an immersive sim. That's just a bad game.
Scott, you had this next story here. Tell us a little bit about this.
So, because of, I guess, Fortnite, we got a point where guitar controllers are coming back, because I don't know if anyone's been keeping up with it, but those are a fucking pain in the ass to get now, or not anymore, but were for a good few years there, where suddenly people wanted them, and suddenly those instruments got really expensive.
And the adapters got even more expensive.
Yeah. So PDP, who did the last wave of Rock Band instruments, they brought back the Riffmaster, which is just a Rock Band controller. But then Cracked, who I discovered were previously Red Octane, who they published the first Guitar Hero, and then they did all the instruments going forward. They did that little. Oh, they did that.
Find your focus. Find your focus.
It's fine. Yeah, they did this thing. The Guitar Hero on Tour controller almost for Fortnite Festival. This thing. And then
that looks like the world's worst knuckle duster. That looks like you're gonna.
It's not great. It's okay. So then they've announced their own guitar controller with Gibson. Kind of hinting that okay, we're back as well. Which. I still haven't got my hands on it. I am getting sent one. I don't know when. I think it's maybe tomorrow. It's coming actually. So then they started teasing something else recently, and they showed Fire. So turns out they've got the Red Octane branding back, which is fine. Like I expected it to be that, but no. 15 years later, the Guitar Hero studio that Activision acquired and killed is back, and teasing a spiritual successor to the rhythm game that put them on the map, which is from Dustin Bailey Games Radar. Effectively, they've said we're busy on pre-production, and our game is entered production, and it's going to be a rhythm-based title, funnily enough. It's not going to be Guitar Hero, apparently, but it will have guitars, obviously. So yeah, it's weird because Rock Band's dead, Guitar Hero's dead. Stuff like Clone Hero and all that is fairly popular within its niche, but we went through that. Okay, Guitar Hero and Rock Band are really big. Then it died. They tried again in like 2015 or so. And it kind of looks...
How pissed off would you be if they were like, surprise everyone, we're bringing back Guitar Freaks. Konami's back in the game, and we're bringing back Guitar Freaks.
I mean, that's where they started. They were doing, I believe they were doing Guitar Freaks controllers in the first place, and then they were like, we're going to make our own one. I mean, that'd be fine as well. I think it's going to be interesting because obviously Harmonix, they brought back Rock Band, and it didn't do so hot, so we kind of went for the same thing. Same with Guitar Hero, they brought back that Guitar Hero Live, didn't do so hot. But now we're at the point where the people who were nostalgic for them are really nostalgic for them, And
Scott, did you play much of Guitar Hero Live at all? Because that was weirdly a thing in my friend group. I still have two of the Guitar Hero Live controllers.
I liked it, but also it was very much like, why have we done this?
It was a weird change. Yeah, it was a weird change of the gameplay, but I thought the biggest waste was how they fumbled the rollout of new songs and everything.
Yeah.
Like,
I thought the FMV stuff was really cool, but they kind of shit the bed on the whatever the other mode was called.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's interesting to see that Harmonix, who are now owned by Epic, like they are in Fortnite now. That is what they're doing for the rest of the time. It'll be interesting to see if we actually get like new drum controllers and all that. Fortnite Festival just becomes Rock Band. But now we've got a studio that is significantly smaller, and they're saying, okay, we're doing it,
Yeah.
And obviously there's the part, that's like, okay, let's, I'm hoping for rhythm games to be back, or, that type of rhythm game to be back. But it's I guess it's just...
Plastic instruments are a hard sell.
Yeah, this is very unexpected news, I guess, is the news. Like, oh, not only have Cracked brought back the Red Octane branding, but they are now making a new game. Like, I just assumed this was going to be, we're bringing the branding back so we can do guitars, and they're all going to be under Red Octane, but no. They're making a full-ass game. Will Red Octane be able to afford song licenses, though? That's the kind of question, you know?
I mean, they always have the option to just do the Beat Saber thing of be like, hey, if you want to play the real version of this game, buy it on PC and load your shit up there. Like, sideload shit.
I mean, but then you're competing with Clone Hero and you're competing with whatever the Rock Band one's called. I've forgotten the name of. I think that's the biggest question, because obviously now that Harmonix has fucking Fortnite money, all the stuff they couldn't get in the Rock Band, like Metallica and Muse and all that, they're, that's fine. We can do that now. And they also have the advantage of being on the free thing, and also, like, Sabrina Carpenter can advertise a new album there, Bruno Mars can do that. What does this game look like if you can't afford, like, Guns N' Roses money, or, like,
Well, I think the most interesting point, because that is a good point. Like, I was thinking too, like, if they're this small, how are they getting the songs? But at the same time, there's a market for niche people buying these controllers. There's not much disposable income. There are tariffs from my stupid country going to the rest of the world. Like, and this can tie into the next story, but like, this honestly doesn't seem like a sound financial decision to be doing right now.
Yeah, like hardware and plastic.
Yeah, here's a peripheral that you need to buy.
Yeah.
I mean, they're in the point where, I don't. My gauge of this is, have I seen them going for super fucking cheap yet? And the Riffmaster, the PDP one, is still kind of doing pretty well. People are really excited about the Les Paul that Cracked are doing.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'll be able to tell you next time if it's any good. But my issue is, I don't like Rock Band controllers. I know this is like such a stupid specific thing, but I find the Rock Band controllers to be really bad, but I like the Rock Band game more. So I'm very excited about this new guitar. But yeah, I think I feel like the Cracked stuff does pretty well. Like, they've got the Nitro deck, they've got the NeoS. I feel like people are really liking what they do. So maybe they have gotten enough pre-orders from this, like, this Fortnite controller and the guitar, that it's like, okay, we've done the math, people are interested, maybe we're gonna do, maybe it's gonna go really well for us. But again, I think it all kind of comes down to, you're now competing with a market that is very much into games that are, that have a fucking endless amount of
content already in them,
user-made content, or you're competing with Fortnite,
which also has near endless supplies of money and content.
Yeah, so I mean, like, Fortnite, Metallica ain't cheap.
Yeah.
Metallica was locked up with Guitar Hero for years and years. Same with, like, there was a lot of bands where Rock Band just didn't get them because Activision had the money to do it, like Red Hot Chili Peppers and Muse and stuff like that. Like, they were only on Guitar Hero. And I don't imagine there's those type of deals going out right now, because obviously who's competing with Epic on that front? But the Epic competition is bad enough. The Fortnite or the Clone Hero competition is going to be tougher. But what is that game? I guess that's the thing. Like, what are they doing with the music for that game?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
That's going to be the make or break.
I kind of am also nostalgic for the days of, like, when Harmonix made weird music games that were, like, more experimental and weren't just licensed music games, Give
me back that Amplitude remake.
Yeah, but,
you didn't buy it.
You're right, nobody bought it. Nobody bought it.
I bought it. I played the hell out of that game.
I love.
I'm the one person.
Fuser,
make it for Henry, please.
Yes, thank you.
I think it's you and Patrick Klepek. It's like, make it for the 5 people if you're going to do the Rock Band controller.
I mean,
guitar controllers for the
isn't Amplitude? or no, I suppose it's more like Rock Band, whatever the Rock Band PSP game is. That's what the Fortnite thing is now, you know. Same with Rock Band Blitz, you know. Fuser is now part of Fortnite basically because you
Yeah.
can do those stems in the game.
Yeah.
That's my go-to whenever I kill someone in Fortnite now. I just start singing Buddy Holly by Weezer to them.
Nice. Speaking of peripherals and other video game hardware,
And tariffs.
yeah, Switch models cost up to 15% more following Nintendo US price hike. This comes from Vic Hood at gi.biz. This is going to be two stories that we're going to kind of pair together as our final news story. Nintendo have gotten out there and raised the price on a bunch of original Switch hardware. Not Switch 2, original Switch hardware. This, at its lowest, means that the base Switch model, or the Switch Lite, is going from $200 to $230, while the Switch OLED is going from $350 to $400.
Imagine buying a Switch OLED.
This feels illegal. This feels like a crime. This is...
So can I...
Some of the other things that have also
I
gone
have
up
a
in
tinfoil
price...
hat.
Some of the other things that have also gone up in price is Alamo went up by $10, which, okay. Nintendo...
What the hell?
The Joy-Cons for Switch 1 have gone up from $80 to $90, and a bunch of Amiibo have also gone up in price. This whole thing is fucking wild. I understand why they have done this, which is they know that when Pokemon comes out this winter, there will be parents who go to the store and see that a Switch 1, even at $400, is cheaper than a Switch 2, and they go, I'm getting that one.
See, I want to
disagree with
be... I want to be on the side of the corporations for once because they need our help. I actually think this is maybe the best move they could have done right now in terms of, okay, you're going to get fucked by the tariffs either way because China and Vietnam both get hit really bad. So if you're Nintendo, you've just launched the new console, you've almost had your launch derailed because of these tariffs. You don't want to... You've announced that price that people already think is super high, and then they kind of got away from that somewhat because after that pre-orders get delayed, everyone was like, oh shit, this is going to be like $500, $600 now. And then when you hear, actually, still $450, that sounds better in comparison than it did 2 weeks before. Now, they obviously have to raise prices on something, I think. Obviously, they don't. They don't actually need to. But if they're going to raise prices on something, if you raise the price on the Switch OLED now that it's only $50 more to buy a Switch 2, a lot of people are just going to go, oh, I may as well buy a Switch 2. Like the type of person who comes in at the end of a generation and buys a console so they can play all the old games. Now the decision is, oh, maybe I just spend $50 more, get the Switch 2, and that way Nintendo has you locked in on the new hardware.
I'm with Scott here.
On one level, I want to agree with both of you, but there is a much more cynical part of my brain that is like, oh, this is a boiling lobster situation of they are slowly raising the price on the cheaper one so that once winter is over, they can then be like, well, we gotta raise it on the Switch 2 too. Like, that's just how things are.
With the way people reacted after that Switch pricing got announced, I think they want to hold off on raising the price on it for as long as they can. And I think this is part of it, where if they raise the price in the original Switch, they are still getting more money than they would have along with the tariffs, but
I think the timing of it is really important too, because this is coming right before the holiday rush. And that Scott is fully correct. Like this feels to me like Nintendo accidentally was served a hand of going, how can we get more people to buy the Switch 2? And it's, well, we just made the Switch 1 look really unappetizing. And because they're so close, and that's how people shop here.
Yeah.
Is like $50 for the better console, like that's just the more logical thing. You're gonna have everybody doing it. Going around New York City to try and get a fucking Switch 2 was already such a pain in the ass. And now it's gonna be like, okay, Pokemon is coming out, all these things, and you're gonna just look and you're gonna be like, well, this game runs better, and it's $50 more. Why wouldn't I get this? It's going to be a no-brainer. Like more people are buying this than
and that's what Nintendo
anybody
wants, because that locks you in for you
the
know,
whole
the next
generation.
10 years or whatever.
Yeah.
It's
Sorry,
also
Henry, you've been trying to speak this whole time. Let Henry fucking speak. I see him going like,
Thank you, please. All I
Let
just want to
Henry
say
speak.
is I am
Sorry,
so tired.
He's going to talk about Kyle Gass's ass.
I am so tired of seeing old consoles go up in price rather than go down. That's all I wanted to say.
yeah, like it that's kind of the big thing with this story is even though we can talk it out and we're like, okay, from a business point of view, this does make sense, it still goes
Oh, yeah, it
against
sucks.
like logic and reason and like what feels right and normal, and it's like kind of upsetting in a lot of ways. It's also worth noting that some Switch 2 peripherals are going up in price. The standalone dock has gone up in price by like $20.
I didn't even know they sold those.
Yeah, so that's
Jesus Christ.
that is now $129, like $130 just for the dock, which is fucking too much money for a dock, for a USB-C hub, basically.
I mean, it's a cop out, but it has to be said that's just kind of where we're at right now because we are how many years into a console generation with the PS5 and Xbox Series S, and they have only went up in price.
Yeah.
You know, that is just the world we are stuck in now because America is the protagonist of the world and their decisions infect us all.
So,
Yeah,
that segues us into our next story, which is a little bit of a
You're damn right it does.
Yeah, that we had on the site. I wrote this last week, and basically 2 weeks ago, Bill Coon got out there and was saying that they saw some database entries that indicated that Battlefield 6 would be €80 when it goes up on sale. That then got misreported by a bunch of places who claimed that Bill Coon was saying that it was going to be $80. That story then started to really snowball, mainly because people were incredulous about the idea of a game that they've said that will reach 100 million players, or they want to hit 100 million players, would cost $80. But that snowballed enough that Andrew Wilson in EA's earnings call was asked if the new Battlefield game would cost $80. This was before the Battlefield event last week, before we saw the multiplayer gameplay and the pre-order pages went live. He got out there and he said, like, no, we are sticking with $70 for all of our holiday releases. After that, there was the Nintendo Partner Direct, and one of the games in that Partner Direct was Madden 26. And I went looking at the US store page and the European store page. The US store page for Madden 26 had it listed at $70. The European store page had it listed at €80, which is about $92.
I will just add, because I think Owen pointed this out in the server after you put up that article. It isn't just EA who are doing this. Sony have been doing this with first-party games for, I think, since the PS5 came out.
So what this story basically was is me trying to highlight that, hey, it seems like a lot of these companies are trying to find ways to raise prices of games overall without raising prices in regions that will get them yelled at. Because American consumers are very loud and they're very annoying. That's something that companies have dealt with a lot. Compared to other regions, they do get a lot louder about their things. And on top of that, the current US regime doesn't really like it when people are raising prices of goods because of things that the regime is doing. They have gotten very upset with car manufacturers for doing this. And so now you see a lot of companies, especially ones that are based in America, ones that have to deal with American legislation on a lot of things, finding ways to offload costs onto foreign markets for them. So I think we're going to see a lot of this over the next little while, of games not going up in price in the US and instead going up in price in places like Europe, Canada. They're going to go up in price even more. I think that a lot of like South America and Australasia will also be hit by this. But I think it's going to really fucking suck going forward.
I will say this. I'd say this because we all know video game development is expensive as fuck these days. And I'm not just talking even with the biggest AAA games. A lot of like mid-range games are still coming in at like what, millions. And like I understand why there's that temptation, but I just can't justify it myself.
Yeah,
Like
I don't
there's so
think
much
I-
money in cost of living
Yeah.
going up constantly. I just can't justify 80 quid games or 80
Since the
euros. 90.
PS5 came out,
No.
I don't think I've ever paid £70 for a game.
Yeah.
Um,
Like the idea of paying full price for a game, even as people whose job it is to play games for a living. Like I know that this is true for a lot of journalists, but they're like, if I can't get a code for this, I'm gonna play it in 6 or 7 months when the price goes down.
well, even like physical copies and all that. Like when I bought the PS5 at launch, I bought the disc version because I'm not a fucking idiot. And by like 3 months in, I'd already made back that extra 100 because guess what? Demon's Souls was only like 50 quid. Devil May Cry was only like 20, like 30. That Immortals Phoenix Rising, which that game's gold edition dropped down to like $8 after like 2 months. So maybe I was a fucking idiot, but I
That's
think I
just
got that.
Ubisoft.
I think I got that for like 40. I don't know why.
It's
'cause it
okay.
is
That game's
Ubisoft.
okay.
It's fine.
I do think that we are at a point where I do think we are maybe getting to a point where we're not going to get much worse, because I think the reaction to Mario Kart probably put things in a lot of perspective for people. Like that, a lot of
I think-
publishers probably heard $80 Mario Kart. Yes, let's fucking go. We can do this now, and people saw how the reaction was to Mario Kart. Because we've seen it with Microsoft.
And I think
They've
Mario
rolled it
Kart
back.
was a super interesting case where they were like, oh, don't worry, it's $80 because there's so much content in it. And then you play it and you're like, but is there though? But
it's
honey,
$80
is there?
'cause It's fucking Mario Kart,
Yeah.
It's the same. The next Zelda's going to be $80. Animal Crossing, they are probably going to put in that echelon now. But I think the reaction to that was so severe that I think a lot of companies have probably rethought it. Because I believe if Mario Kart was announced and there wasn't like 4 straight days of drop the price comments on all of their streams, we would be seeing Battlefield go out for $80. We would be seeing Call of Duty go out for $80. Even like Microsoft rolled that back,
Yeah.
And that's Microsoft who, it doesn't really matter because most of their players come from their fucking $10 a month subscription charge or whatever. As for Battlefield, they should make it $15, and they should set it in 1943 and release it on the Xbox Live Arcade. That's some good Battlefield.
Yes, I agree with this.
Maybe they should bring back that, what was that, like, Battlefield that looked like it was...
Heroes.
Battlefield Heroes, yeah, it looked like Fortnite before Fortnite. They should bring that back.
The real Team Fortress 2.
The real Team Fortress 2.
The one thing I want to add, just being in, the America, is that, like, it's not new. I know. I'm just here. I have no choice. But yeah, like Sony and Microsoft have both raised prices, both outside of the country, over the past few years, at least on the PS5 and the Xbox Series consoles. So seeing Nintendo do it was not I guess it was kind of a surprise to do it here. And games, it's just like you say all these things, and it's like it's true that there is a big backlash, but also that is not the majority of American consumers.
Yeah.
American consumers are the parents going out for the holiday. American consumers are the people walking into a Target or a Walmart. They don't follow these things. If GTA 6 went out for $100, they'd be really concerned, and then most of them would probably buy it because they go, "Oh, it's Grand Theft Auto. I know that video game." Most American consumers are not very savvy. They're not into it like this. I think that they're scared of a backlash in the same sense that you said of the frog, in boiling water, of we're going to get everything else around this, and this is going to seem like a great deal, and that's going to boost sales, and then the next time it's going to go up to 80, and everybody's going to think it's worth it. And suddenly that's just how you're going to get those games at that price. That's just how it works here.
the thing about $70 games is that the people who were doing $70 games never had games that were worth $70. Like 2K does not have games that are worth $70. PlayStation don't have games that are worth $70. You know, like that's why I've never really bought one. Whereas Capcom's putting out their games for like 50 or whatever. You know, I think they only just went up to 70 with Monster Hunter, maybe. But
Yeah,
even then,
it's
like,
it's gonna. In some ways, there's part of me that's like, hey, maybe like flexible pricing is like a good, healthy thing for the industry.
yeah.
There's another part of me that's like, hey, I think that when you introduce flexible pricing, there's going to be a lot of companies that just push that as far as they can and try
But
to chance their arm as much as they can.
But there's like an easy way to scam people, you know, because I can tell you now, GTA is going to be $70, you know, standard price, whatever. There's no price rise. But oh, do you want to play it like 5 days before? That's
There it
120.
is.
The
You know,
Deus Ex Mankind Divided.
Yeah.
yeah, like
It's like,
fucking.
you want to pay $200
And
to
that
play
has
it a
been,
week before everybody?
that has been pushing further and further. Like Death Stranding did it. That was like 2 days, but like I think the first game I remember doing it was like NBA 2K16 or something like that, and that was like 2 days. The new WWE game was a full week.
Yeah.
So they've been pushing it. They've been pushing it further and further back, and I can easily foresee. Oh, okay, we're not putting the price up for GTA 6 like all of us thought they would. That's such a good deal, but also, you know, you can play it 5 because there's a hunger for GTA like nothing else. They could say $130 if you want to play this 5 days early, and you get a new hat. You know, like
Just to
that's how
just
they're going to do it. I think.
just to put on to that point, like, yeah, there is a hunger, and people, there's a lot of publishers, they should say, who are like, we don't want to release alongside GTA, but there's also assumption that that money was ever going to go to them to begin with over
Yeah.
GTA. Yeah,
I think
and I
that's
don't mean
why-
that to be harsh. That's a lot
No,
of
it's
people.
accurate.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
suppose, but there is
It's-
an element of that because when you think of video game flops, you think of, or at least I think of, Rayman Legends and The Wonderful 101, and those both came out like 2
Not
weeks
the
apart
games
from
I
each
thought
other.
of, but sure.
No, but good games that flopped, not fucking like Too Human or whatever you were gonna say, right? That's the games I think like notable good games flopping, you know.
Titanfall too.
Yeah, I was gonna say Titanfall too.
But yeah, that's the same kind of thing, like where you're 1 week apart. That was just EA being fucking stupid.
Yeah, that was but
But yeah, no, I get what you mean. That money was not going to go to them, but some of that money might have, because even people who are like really
Sure.
hardcore gamers who would play Rayman Legends
Suddenly have
matters.
$100 less. Yeah.
Yeah, because GTA's GTA's fucking GTA. I don't care about GTA until it comes out, and then I'm like, oh, it's GTA though, right?
Yeah.
But I think that is why like this year has been like weirdly quiet. Like that was a really weirdly quiet Summer Game Fest, wasn't it? And I think it's because everyone was too scared of GTA, and now we're at the point where we're seeing games like Chronos, like all that, get announced like 2 weeks in advance. Like Metroid Prime's probably going to come out in like early October, and we'll find out in like 2 weeks. You know?
Yeah. I think you're gonna see a bum rush of people being like, we have to get out before May next year. Like we have to.
I believe the from what people were saying earlier this year, the theory is 3 weeks before, 3 weeks after. But then the problem there is everyone going to release their games 3 weeks before and 3 weeks after? So then you're get the same problem of like
competing against other people.
everything's coming out at the same time, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, that's the news. That is another week of news done and dusted. But before we go, we have some questions from our Discord. So I'm going to start off with these here. Do you think the recent Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase was genuinely bad, as many people say it is, or are people overreacting?
I think we touched upon this earlier, to be honest. To be honest, I think people are overreacting. I do not think it was that bad.
In the case of Nintendo, those two things can be true. It can be very true that they have a weak showcase and we can say it's weak, but also Nintendo fans are always overreacting. So like,
and I know I said it in a very dismissive way, but in a normal Nintendo Direct, Octopath Traveler 0 would be like, it wouldn't be in a sizzle reel, but it would
be like the third or fourth game shown.
Yeah, those like 3 back-to-back headlines in the big chunks to do. You know, it'd be one of those. It wouldn't be like a, And I get there's a space for that, you know, like but I think as a standalone direct, when before last week we didn't. The rumor was just like we're getting a direct this month.
Yeah.
So there's the element of that because we don't know when Metroid's coming out. We don't know when Kirby Air Raiders is coming out, and on top of that, the games that people really want, like Elden Ring and Final Fantasy, didn't show up.
Yeah.
And I think that's the other part of it.
If I had to choose one of the existing games in that lineup for like the one last thing, it would have been Zelda. Personally, not
no, because that was a go on do nothing trailer. They did fucking nothing.
I guess so.
I mean, I would have put Katamari, but also I'm mentally ill. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say you are not a pure person for a very good reason, Scott.
No, I mean, really, it probably should have been Monster Hunter, but
Yeah, I do think that most partner directs are like this.
Yeah,
like it's really not that bad. Most partner directs are RPG fests, or there was that one where every other fucking game was a farming simulator.
No, that was a normal
direct. It's better than that.
That was a normal direct.
That was a real direct. No, you're actually correct.
Because what I notice is, right, see when Nintendo and Sony put on when Nintendo and Sony put on a State of Play and a Nintendo Direct in the same week, that is always an omen that Nintendo Direct is going to fucking stink and the State of Play is actually going to be good for once. Because I'm pretty sure the day after that Farming Direct was the one where they announced like fucking like Tekken 8 and like Resident Evil 4 Remake or something like that. You know, it was like a really wild one. But yeah, I mean, it's both because, everyone wants... There's a hunger for
people only remember the highs of Nintendo Directs, and so
people really want to know
compare,
what's going on with Metroid and all that, and people want to see Elden Ring and Final Fantasy, and people really want... Basically, Silk Song wasn't there, so of course people are going to say it was fucking terrible.
Yeah,
I was just really glad it wasn't like 15 minutes of that like really bad, odd, like transatlantic voice talking about a Square Enix RPG.
Yeah,
like they do sometimes. The Octopath Traveler Zero's trailer was long, but it wasn't like, here's how the gameplay works and here's what you're going to be doing. And I'm just like, how much did you pay for this?
Remember that year that they went to E3 and the only game that they had in their direct was Smash Bros, and it was like a 40-minute direct?
That was a good year. I like that year. I mean, that was a bad year, but it was,
Nintendo don't give a shit.
Smash Bros.
That was a really good Smash Direct, and they should have done it like that, where it was like, we are going to have our E3 Direct, it's going to be a bit shorter this year, and then they do the Everyone Is Here trailer, and then it's stay tuned for a Smash Direct. They should have at least done that.
Yeah, but no, they were like, this is our Direct. Next question. Evo attendance was down. Do you think that there being more Evos, including ones that aren't in the tumultuous US, was a big reason? Yes,
I don't think so.
I think it's less that there's more Evos. I think it's more that people literally just don't want to travel to the US right now. And it's expensive, and it's awkward, and it requires a lot of stuff. And we've had this traveling to the US as well. When you travel to a convention as something like that, if you're in a fighting game, do you apply for a visa? Are you working? I don't know how those people have to go about it. And
when I went,
I don't want to chance my arm with US customs right now.
Yeah. When I went to LA last year for Summer Games Fest and I explained I was covering a games event, they were like, can you win money from this? So yeah, probably a big pain in this. I don't think it's anything to do with more Evos. Definitely part of it is probably to do with what the fucking US is like right now. But at the same time, the fighting game community is in a weird space because Guilty Gear is getting... I mean, everything was down this year. Every single game was down this year. So there's definitely the element of the US being as it is. But Guilty Gear, Guilty Gear's in its 5th year, I think. People are hating Tekken 8 right now. Same with City of the Wolves kind of got a mixed reception. So there isn't... And, again, Street Fighter is still Street Fighter. People love Street Fighter, but it isn't its 3rd year. So there's always going to be those kind of years for Evo where even if City of the Wolves was beloved, it's still an SNK game. It's got a ceiling. And last year was Tekken 8's 1st year and Street Fighter's 2nd year, So, there was always going to be a drop-off. It was a big one. So, yeah, it probably is a lot to do with what going to the US is. but I don't really see it as a
And
incredibly bad omen.
yeah, I also think you
Because
see
next
that
year-
like, you know, they'll have 2XKO, they'll have Marvel Tokon. There will be
Yeah, that's-
things that will get
yeah,
people
next year is
excited
going
to
to
attend.
be bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, next year is going to
So-
be a lot bigger because of those two coming out.
Yeah, I don't really know fighting games, so I actually turned to Ashley Schofield for this, and we were talking, and her professional opinion was just that a lot of fighting game players are also queer and
Yeah.
trans.
Yeah.
And that's a massive thing, and it's not even just the players; it's the people who are going to go support them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very easy to go around. Actually, I wouldn't even say it's very easy to go around the continental United States. That is kind of worrying in and of itself as somebody who lives here. But there are players who are being turned away. You had MinMax just had a fucking journalist that they have who was turned away because she was going to make videos. Like,
Yeah.
Border Patrol is not being very kind to anybody who's coming here for a professional reason that they don't find valid. And it is even worse if you are queer or trans or anything within those umbrellas, and it's a very worrisome thing. Ashley was saying she knew somebody who was like a top 8 player in Guilty Gear or something, and it was like she came only because she had points, and it would be silly not to go, and she ended up being fine. But like it's a very
Guilty Gear in particular, you know, has a lot of queer and trans players.
And
yeah, absolutely.
And I think
you know.
it's been interesting. Every single ad I get on Twitch right now, every single ad is for the Esports World Cup. And they are the most obnoxious fucking ads in the world. They are literally all gold, fucking Ronaldo's creepy ass faces all over them. And it's like, this is the most fucking badass competition in the world. It's ruthless. It's the most ruthless competition in the world. And it's people playing chess. And I'm just like, dog. But like, you see with the Esports World Cup, the only fighting game that actually has any representation there is the one that the Saudi government is backing with its own money. You know?
They do have other fighting games there.
They do, but like people
yeah.
aren't seriously competing in them. They're not looking at those as real competitions.
It's the Esports World Cup would be really cool if not for all the moral reasons why the Esports World Cup is not very cool. Is how I'm going to phrase that.
Yeah. Next question. Battlefield 6 is not going to be on Switch 2, yet they're aiming for 100 million players. Will EA have to come to Switch 2 with hash in hand, having not learned lessons from not fully supporting Switch 1?
I don't think people are buying a Switch 2 because they want Battlefield. Admittedly. Like, there might be some people who would play it on there, but I don't think that's going to be...
Remember,
that's not their target audience, surely.
5 minutes ago when we said Battlefield 6 is going to be €80? They're no fucking... I don't even think Fortnite hits that number anymore.
To put that in perspective,
It is.
the most that any Battlefield game has ever sold was like 30 million over the course of 10 years. So the idea that a game would sell like triple that or would have triple that many players is like the most unhinged and disconnected from reality thing that Andrew Wilson has ever said.
The peak player count of Fortnite is 14 million.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Like, come on. It's nice to want things, Andrew, but let's all be serious for a moment. That game will...
I mean, that's something you tell shareholders, I guess, you know, like...
But also, if you tell them that, then they have...
overpromise them?
Yeah, then they have the expectation, and when you don't hit it, they fucking divest, which is the last thing you want. Like, this seems like it is a comment that is so unbelievably stupid, it is going to cause a lot of people to lose their jobs. And it won't be fucking Andrew Wilson, it won't be the guy who said it. But yeah, like, that game I don't think could run on a Switch 2, like, not with all the DLSS magic in the world. I just don't think that it has the CPU power for, like, the destructible environments and stuff like that. I just don't think it could do that at all.
Also, who wants it on Switch 2?
Yeah.
Like, they're going to bring Call of Duty to Switch 2, but who wants it on Switch 2?
They're bringing Call of Duty to Switch 2 because they told the government they would. That's the only reason they're doing it. So, like, yeah, I don't know. Battlefield 6 is a fucking mess. The whole thing is a nightmare. Next question. Why is Lexi so SEO friendly?
Pulling up the stats for this as we speak.
Yeah, Henry, do you want to explain the context for this?
So, I occasionally I get emails from Google Search Console just for analytics to say, like what's doing well currently for us. And there were, hang on, let me just try and find it. So one of the articles on the site which was showing increase in traffic. One of them was best like co-op roguelikes list by Jason.
Yep.
And then number 2 on that list for most, improving, I guess.
Say it out loud.
Lexi's author page.
Oh yeah. My author page.
So
everyone wants to read more about Lex.
just not the article specifically, just you.
I'm not going to read too much into that. I'm going to choose not to read into that.
As you shouldn't. You should not read into that. That is just, it's just very funny.
Yeah, like, I don't know, maybe just like, I don't know. It's not like I've been, I guess I was on like more Giant Bomb content the last week.
You have all the momentum of a runaway freight train. Why are you so popular?
Well, I'd say it's mainly down to my charming good looks. Next question. I feel like I don't really have a good picture of what games you guys tend to gravitate towards. If that's the case, how can I know which of your opinions to ignore? That's a real good way to think about it. So please, stand up and in 5,000 words or greater, explain what genres you tend to prefer. Whatever somebody pays you to play doesn't count, but we all know it's the real answer. My impressions at this point in time are Scott likes Monkey, Henry likes VR, Lexi likes Trash.
That's pretty fucking spot on.
Yeah,
I mean to elaborate from there.
It's gonna say
I mean the Quest.
Anything wrong with that?
The Quest 3 is on my desk. It lives there. So yeah.
Yeah, I
mean you can replace Henry's with Trash as well because VR.
How dare you?
I think Scott, me and you have a similar thing of like we have our niches, but also we do try to hit the biggest games of the year, like you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
I do like one Yakuza a lot, and two just like RPGs I find intellectually interesting, so I will play the first 10 hours of like a lot of RPGs, and then never finish them. And then I will just try to play like literally anything that I think is weird. I think Trash is a good way to put it, but also like I like playing games sometimes that don't 100% work, that don't like pull off what they're going for, because I find that really interesting. It's the same reason why I find like schlocky horror movies really interesting, because like there's a nugget of an idea there, and sometimes you get to it and sometimes you don't, and sometimes it's really good and sometimes it sucks shit, and sometimes it's both of those two things at the same time. And I find that really interesting as a critic to try to like dissect and pass. Scott, are there any other, like, would you expand your genres at all?
I mean, I think first and foremost, I'm like an action game sicko. Like, they don't really happen anymore, but like the Platinum Games, Devil May Cry style thing, that is my like go-to. But yeah, I try to take in, what, like I don't siphon myself off from genres too much. I don't really like stuff like, MMOs and real-time strategy and shit like that. But like, I'll give everything a go once. Like I don't like CRPGs, but I like Baldur's Gate 3, for example. But yeah, I'm into my fast-paced shit. Something that kind of
and also Metal Gear.
Yeah, and Metal Gear. Yeah, and I wouldn't really call myself an immersive sim person, but stuff that has like that immersive sim quality, like Metal Gear does, where like
systemic games.
Systemic games. I like them a lot. Stuff where if I think something really stupid, can I do it? And I can do it. I've got a big appreciation for stuff like that. But I like shooters. I do partake in some Fortnite and Call of Duty from now and then. But as long as it's not like an RTS or fucking, I hate RPGs with RuneScape combat. Like the Xenoblades and the Witcher ones of the world and the KOTORs of the world. Like, even if it's bad combat, like in The Witcher 2, where you just press the button and it swings the sword once, I can stomach that. I've never been able to do the
Auto combat
and
kind of
even
thing.
yeah, and I hated turn-based RPGs until I stopped playing. Like I love the vibes of Dragon Quest. I don't think I'd ever be able to play one because I just don't really like fantasy RPGs. But when an RPG has like a unique set or like a city setting or something like that, like Persona or Yakuza, or I really love Live Alive, which is a fucking phenomenal game. They should do
Oh,
that
that was
instead of
great.
Octopath. Instead of Octopath, do a new Live Alive. There we go. But the problem with Live Alive is obviously they do the 8 different eras. The very last one is a fucking classic turn-based RPG where you've got random encounters and it's all medieval focused, and that was like the wet fart to end the game, Um, but yeah, that's the most roundabout way of saying it is I'll try anything. I have a lot of favorite games that are from very different genres.
Henry, outside
Like
of
platformers.
VR, because people who know you probably know a lot of your taste in VR games from VR upload. What kind of taste do you have outside of VR?
So, I mean, like, I will try a lot of different genres. There are some, like Scott, where it's like, things like RTS is not really my bag. But I mostly gravitate towards RPGs, both turn-based and action. I love a good adventure. Give me a good racing game as well. I'll be there for that. Those are sort of the main genres I sort of lean to.
You
I
love
don't really
those
know if you can count
Trials games, not Trails.
Trails, one of the greatest RPG series of all time. Thank
You
you.
love that NIS bullshit. You love it.
Are you a yeast
What
guy?
can I say? I love these. Yeah.
Are you a Disgaea?
No, I couldn't get into that one.
Wow, fake fan.
I don't have
I know,
those.
I know, but yeah, but I don't really know if you can count Nintendo as a genre, but as you can see from the posters behind, love a good platformer.
Yeah, I mean,
Those are my main
Nintendo,
ones.
Nintendo is definitely one where like if they do it, I'll fuck with it because like is Pikmin real time strategy? Kind of. I fucking love Pikmin.
Sure, yeah, I'll
Um,
get behind
I
that.
also, sorry to bring it back to me, but I am the most important member of this. Open world
Lies.
games when they are systemic, yes. Open world games when they are like Ubisoft.
I I just can't be bothered with a lot of open world stuff. Like sometimes it's fine, but if it's just like feels like it's just filling out a map for the sake of it, I'm just not going to bother.
Yeah, those ones have to have a good hook because really those Spider-Man games are extremely, formulaic, but it has the
I
good swinging and the good story for the first
I
one.
played the first one and the Miles game. I didn't play 2 yet,
Yeah.
but I just stuck to the main campaign and the bigger side stuff. I didn't do all the tiny little things.
Do you guys know? Is that new Mafia game getting codes sent out? Are people getting review codes for that?
People have just started getting them for PC only.
Huh.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I heard the other day that no one had them.
I was curious if they were, because that's not an open world game, and I'm very
No.
curious what the critical reception to that is. When I hear that's not an open world game, I'm like, great. Like,
But those
Sure.
first two weren't, were they?
no, the
I
first
think there
two
were only
were
3.
the first two were also open world. They were empty open worlds. There was very little to do in them, but they
Are they
were
open
open
worlds
worlds.
or are they like LA Noire where it is technically open but it's not really?
It almost LA Noirish, where it's like, yes, this is open,
Um,
but like, what are you gonna do in that world?
Just to go back to the point, I only know one person who's got code so far. I don't
Yeah.
know wider.
I'm curious how
And
that
it's
thing
Tony
reviews.
Soprano.
Yeah.
They should make a new Sopranos game.
Right, we need to finally hit this quiz. This came from A4 Gaming on Discord a bunch of weeks back. So, how this is gonna work is I'm gonna say the name of a game. You have to try to guess what country in the UK or Ireland was it developed in, and then for extra points, what region. Mick, you can also partake. Actually, Mick, you have to go
Oh,
first
boy.
for all of these.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I got you.
So I'm not going to do all of these because there's a lot of them. But thank you again, A4 Gaming, for putting this together. So, Baldur's Gate 3.
I know it. I'm waiting for.
Scotland.
Okay. Scott?
No, you're hilarious.
Dublin, isn't it? Dublin, isn't it?
Yep, it's Dublin.
They have another studio though, don't they? Have another office in like
They opened a
Oh,
London one
okay.
very recently, but it's smaller. I think.
Okay.
Crackdown. This one's developed by Real Time Worlds. Original Crackdown.
Is that
Oh,
Guildford?
original. Oh.
Mick, you were close with your last guess.
Oh, it's Scotland?
Yeah, that's
I'm gonna say Wales now.
that's a Dundee game.
Yeah, I was going to say Dundee.
That's people who kind of left Rockstar.
Oh, we got to guess the city as well.
If you
That's the
want,
bonus points.
Curiosity, what's inside the cube?
That's Guildford.
From 22
Sorry, what the
cans.
fuck is that?
That's Peter Molyneux's Tap the Cube game.
Jesus.
Yeah, that is Guildford. Scott, you nailed that in one. Elite Dangerous from Frontier.
Oh, Cambridge.
Yep, that's Cambridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Empire of Sin from Romero Games.
That's Galway.
Mm-hmm. Enslaved, Odyssey to the West.
Oh,
Ninja Fury are in...
are they Cambridge as well?
Yes, they are.
I think yeah.
Everybody's Gone to the Rapture from the Chinese room.
Oh, fuck, they're English, aren't they?
Yep.
They made the Scottish game, but they're English.
They're English.
Are they Manchester?
They're Brighton.
Brighton. Also, I was right. Larian's from Belgium, and then they have an office
Yeah,
in Dublin.
they have a
Yeah.
their Dublin office
That's
is like
where
a
I
lot
got
of their
confused.
writing people. Yeah. Everything from David O'Reilly. There's a hint.
Literally everything.
That's Oh no, I'm thinking of fucking what's it called? The Mind's Eye one.
No,
Everywhere.
no, not everywhere.
Everywhere.
I don't know. Is that Wales? We feel like we
No,
have to have
David
Wales
O'Reilly
in
is from Kilkenny. You would
there. Yeah,
have never
the
known that
O'Reilly
one.
should have gave it away.
Yeah.
I
Come
didn't
on.
think of that.
Evil Genius from Rebellion.
They're fucking.
I want to say Manchester for them, but
They're
I might be wrong.
Newcastle, aren't they?
Oh, Newcastle.
You're both
They're
wrong.
Northern.
They're from Oxford.
Oh, never mind. I thought they were
Um,
I
Northern.
thought they were north.
Henry, you should know this one. Forza Horizon 5 from Playground Games.
Leamington.
Yep, Leamington Spa.
Yes.
Royal Leamington Spa. I'll have you know.
Yeah.
Oh, my apologies.
That can't be a real city name, by the way. Just Leamington.
Just
You know, there's two
Sorry.
specific. There's two towns on two separate Scottish islands, both called Twat.
nice.
Look, I live near Shitterton, so nothing surprises me at this point.
I'm sorry, you live near a what, Henry?
About like 20 miles out from me is a place called Shitterton. That is exactly how it sounds. Yes.
The town next to the town in Ireland where my uncle lives is called Muff. So
For God's sake.
Nice. None of these games were developed in Muff. But
Damn.
but you were Ayo. This next one, I'm just gonna
man.
give you the game name, and once I give you the developer name, it should be easier for you. Hurdy-gurdy. Have you ever heard of Hurdy-gurdy?
I know that's the one, and it's the box art. It's the wee boy going like that, and the big monster behind him like that.
Okay, can you figure
Oh.
out who developed it? Because if you figure out who developed it, you'll probably know.
Is that London Studio?
Nope. Another studio that was big around that PS1 era.
I don't know on this
Oh,
one.
it's Psyonix, is it?
No, it's Core Design.
Oh.
Core Design, the Tomb Raider people, who famously are in Derby. Lemmings.
That's Dundee.
That is Dundee. That's DMA Design. Made of Scare.
I don't
No
get
idea.
that game.
This is from Wales Interactive. Where do you think they're from?
Ireland.
Oh, yeah, Ireland.
Northern
Yeah.
Ireland.
They're from Pernarath. Pernarath? Yeah, Pernarath. I can't do Welsh pronunciation, sorry. Manhunt. Question is...
Leeds.
It's a Rockstar studio.
Yeah.
That's Rockstar Leeds, isn't it?
Rockstar North in Scotland.
Is it?
Yeah,
Oh, it's
yeah,
North.
that was
Okay.
Rockstar
Near
North.
Dundee, yeah.
No
Or
Man's
they moved to
Sky.
Edinburgh.
No Man's Sky.
Guildford
Hello
as well.
Games. That is
Guildford.
also Guildford. Observation. From the recently
They're
renamed...
Glasgow.
From the recently renamed No Code. I can't remember what they changed their name to, but they did announce they changed their name.
They're
Oh,
Glasgow.
no clue.
It is Glasgow. Let's see.
They're doing that Silent Hill game, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
I think I should start doing. Next time I come on, I should do one of these just with the American cities, but not like it's not going to be like Ark in Austin or anything. It's going to be the ones that are in like
Screenburn
bumfuck
Limited,
Minnesota.
they're
Yeah.
called.
Please.
Like I'm not going to know the towns.
And last one here, GTA London.
Is that Dundee as well?
Is that your guess?
Also a
Is that
DMA?
Leeds?
Is that also a DMA design?
Is
No,
that-
they didn't do that. Yeah, is that Leeds?
Henry, what's your guess?
I'm going to say Leeds as well because I don't know.
Mick, do you have a guess for that one?
Is it Manchester?
No, absolutely not.
Developed by Rockstar Canada.
Oh.
Thank you, A4 Gaming. We might do more of those quizzes if Patreon people send those in to us. That was a lot of fun. Before we go, I want to quickly shout out to our gold tier members. This week, they are Owen Waters, Chris Haney, Caladrius, Branford Hubbard, Danielle Noak, and Guy Thompson, aka A4 Gaming. No, I'm not reading that last one. I'm not. No. And before we wrap up, we should have some stuff going up on the site over the next few days. Scott, I need you when you're done here to like go read a thing that I put in the Discord.
You need me when I'm done to go fucking eat.
Yeah.
Then I will look at it.
Henry, you'll probably have a couple of news stories every now and again over the next little while. I'm working on a few features. There will be stuff. Or Mario Party live stream should go up this week. That is
the announcement about that.
What announcement?
Henry was found to have 500 substances.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
So technically, I am a Mario Party champion. Henry
was disqualified for doping. So
and also in collusion with Goomba, I found out. So
very unsportsmanlike. Turned out
double disqualified.
Turned out that Henry had bet on himself, and like it was all rigged from the start.
Really
it was fucked.
Yeah.
That fucking thing was a nightmare. I'm still recovering from
that
it.
Thing was fine. That was fine.
It was great. I loved it.
You fucking hated it.
Second.
You hated it from the. You never gave it a chance. And I think I said.
I never gave it a chance.
But that game is the best when you are being a fucking shitheel. Like I decided right away I'm gonna heal it up. I'm gonna be a dickhead, and that's how you enjoy that game. You just have to play into it. You have to embrace the fact.
I know, dog. I tried to fuck you over pretty badly a couple of times, and I still wasn't having fun. Even when you were suffering, I wasn't having fun.
That was brought from a place of hatred. That wasn't brought from a place of just wanting to be a dickhead.
You're right.
Like when Henry
I wasn't joyous dickhead.
Yeah, I wasn't
doing things up for
fun.
me, and I couldn't steal the star from you, despite Henry having more stars. That was going to be an all-timer, funny moment, and Henry had to fuck it up because he's a selfish bastard. And then what did Henry do? Oh, I've got a chance to steal a star. Do I steal it from Lex? Do I steal it from Scott? No, I'm going to steal it from Goomba because I'm a fucking loser. I take this seriously. I think about my moves. Henry's sitting there looking at the map, planning it out in advance. Whereas, that's not how you do it.
Your anger fuels me, Scott. What can I say?
It's disappointment, Henry.
Keep telling yourself that.
So if you want to see more stuff like that, make sure to support us on Patreon. Patreon.com/RewinderMedia.
We're going to be playing
Rewinder.
10 weeks straight of Dragon Drive. We're going to make a Dragon Drive week.
The Dragon Drive Open Invitational. It's us and every other independent games media website duking it out.
This weekend?
I think it is. I think the beta's it's out the same weekend as the Battlefield 4 beta, which I want to see the overlap between
Battlefield
that.
4 is fucked.
Or Battlefield 6 beta. Mick, before we go, tell us what are you up to and where can people find you?
Yes, you can find me on Blue Sky at Diet Deitz. It's the most confusing. It's at DIETDEITZ. I'm not doing very much. I have personal projects I'm working on, but in exchange for her help, I've promised that I would kind of puff up Ashley's book. So Valhalla Design Works coming out from Lost and Cold at some point next year. And then if you wanted to, I believe it's done being funded, but Ninsight, the Nintendo magazine, is back, and I'm still bigly connected to that when I'm mentally stable and sound. So keep an eye out for that and the good quality content that's coming from there. Otherwise, I'm just hanging around, sometimes playing video games.
Sweet. We're gonna have to figure out what the next episode of the show will look like. There will be something, but we'll figure that out closer to the point, and we'll let you know either in the Discord or on Blue Sky. That's Blue Sky. We are rewinder.co.uk on Blue Sky. You can check out the written word on rewinder.co.uk as well. If you want to catch more of our future live streams, we're Rewinder Media on Twitch and YouTube. And until next time, take care of yourself.
When are Lost and Cult going to get me to write a book about Hulk Hogan's main event for the Kinect?
You know, they were going to, but turned out.
This is actually viral marketing. It's already in the works.
Oh, is it? Oh,
Yeah,
Scott, I can't believe that you would blow up their spot like this. They had a whole fucking PR campaign planned.
It's viral. This is part of the campaign. I'm doing the Devil May Cry 5 thing where the voice actors leak it in advance. Yeah, it's free books, all based on a different.
And you only talk about the N64 version. You're like, no, this version.
This Kinect game?
I thought that was... What was the Hulk Hogan license game on N64? Or was that just the... I thought there was one.
I mean, he was in the WCW games.
Okay.
I believe the only Hulk-like is the main event game for the Kinect.
And I'll be writing a book for Lost in Cult about Blackwater, the Kinect game. All of your problematic faves coming at you.
I liked the Gunstringer.
Hulk Hogan Funeral Simulator.
Yeah.
The Gunstringer.
Thank you all so much, and we will see you again next time.
Bye.